Les?
Okay. All right, we're ahead of schedule.
You're okay?
So we're continuing our meeting here, and our next item is a public hearing. This is a continuation of public hearing. This is on Kerry Homes,
Hear me?
LLC, subdivision, formerly Belay, lot number 2. This is the application for a site plan approval for the rock crushing operations
Yes, I
at
hear him
60
in the
Kerry Lane.
background.
Our council is in Maine, speaking on,
Speakerphone.
I guess, split neck or something, right? It sounds.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes.
Hey, Les.
This is sort of like Charlie's Angels.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
How's everyone doing this evening?
Great, yourself?
Good, thanks.
Right.
So I'm gonna have Tompkins just put up the map up on the
Yep,
up
great,
on the
thank you.
on the screen. Tompkins, Kevin from Tompkins Excavation.
Why is the angle so funny? I'm very upset over that. Gosh, can we take apart the lens? Maybe it's dust on the inside. I know. There's one for you. Oh, thank you so much. Are you still there, Les?
I am.
Okay. We're just trying to get all the technology working.
Okay, good. I heard a lot of shuffling in the background.
Yes. Mine, not yours, but mine. I think dust on the inside.
Okay, no, so
Losing our timing advantage.
we gain here too.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Yeah, I got about 5 questions on that one. All small, but they have to be answered.
It's taking time.
Okay.
It's a big file.
It's a big map with big notes.
Big with big notes and big red boxes.
Good luck with that.
It's
Rack space. Gotta love rack space. We are very antiquated here in government. Rack space is like hip and happening.
Well, there is something to be said for letting other people be the point people on new technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once the price comes down to half and the quality goes up by 2x, then,
We're good to go.
yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on with it? All the scans today.
They're gonna enlarge it.
Right, go. Leave that anyway.
It's hard to imagine people will miss us in August, isn't it?
We are looking at new technology for the room, folks.
Rabbit ears.
This is the plan we have in the package, right?
Yep.
So that's the plan that you're looking at, correct? Okay. So Just starting from the, let's go to the box with the town ordinance. So that's up on the left. So starting at the box, top left corner. Just so we all, obviously, as you all may know, town ordinance under section 96B. There are no restrictions to decibels during construction as the code exists today. Time frames are, as you see, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, Sunday holidays, 10 to 5. No blasting on Saturday and Sunday, which is really non-applicable here. Our proposal currently is for Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m. No work Saturday, Sunday, and holidays. Moving now over to the detail of what we're crushing and what we're planning on doing on site. Okay. Okay, so basically of the rock that we're going to chip on site, anywhere from 1 foot to 3 feet size rock, we plan to send through the rock crusher and get into roughly 3 sizes. One being item number 4, the second size being anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inch stone, the next size being from 2 inch to 3 inch stone. Of those 3 products that we would use most, or if not all, of what we have as results of the crushing of the major big size, and we'll go through the chart of what's left over and what we plan on then removing as the excess off site. So the next box is going to be a box that's the data. So as we can see, the amount of yards to crush is approximately 2,500 cubic yards, which would result ultimately in approximately 2,000 after it goes through the crusher. It's roughly 400 cubic yards per day. We're going to need a total of 6 days in order to crush what's been chipped on site. We need approximately 650 cubic yards today as we see it. Perhaps there may be a need for additional, which we would then further reduce what's left over. At this point, after we crush the rock, after we use what we need of what we've crushed, there's approximately 1,350 cubic yards left over, which would equal 68 truckloads. If we were not to crush on site, we would ultimately end up with the full 2,500 cubic yards, which would result in 125 truckloads that we would have in order to remove that rock that we've chipped on the site. And net results are 57 fewer truckloads that are necessary to go in and out of the site. So just to recap the previous comments from the last meeting, one was the location of the rock crusher, which Kevin, if you can, just show us where we'll go through where we initially located, and the comment from the board last meeting was let's move the rock crusher closer to the cul-de-sac and the area where it's going to be necessary. So if you see the big box there where obviously it says location of mobile crusher, it was further to the left on the driveway of the second home. It is now further closer to the cul-de-sac. The next major comment from the last meeting was what were the decibel levels at the various points of the property site, which ultimately was the noise decibels from the neighbor of 66 Kerry Lane, and then the noise decibels from various points of the property boundary lines of 60 Kerry Lane. And if you walk through from 66 Kerry Lane, it's 300 feet. If you look over at the compatible chart, it's at 300 feet. It's 300 plus 150. So that means it's a total of 450 feet from the neighbor 66 Kerry Lane to the actual crusher itself.
I don't understand how you get that. I mean, the scale shows it's this much is 150
Could you
feet.
please speak into your microphone?
This is 150 feet roughly. I hope it doesn't mean anything else to anybody, but, and so if you take that distance and you go from the left-hand edge, the distance between the left-hand edge of the mobile crusher, this is the crusher.
Yeah.
Why does this say location of, oh, the arrow?
Yes.
Okay, so this is then 150.
Right, it's about 300 feet total.
Well, it's less than 300.
Wasn't there a cutoff line you had on it? Were we over that thing?
We had two.
I think you couldn't have enough room to show it. Which one you, oh, that one?
This line. So.
It's 150 feet.
Kevin, you know,
Here, and then I guess another 150. You can't do it with your hands.
300 is total. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, correct.
correct what?
So the answer, the 300 is total. Is total from 66 to the crusher.
240.
Are you still with us, Liz?
240.
Yes.
Okay.
Just it. Yeah,
Okay, so it's 240, so that's a different number. So that's more like the 185, in just somewhere between 185 and whatever you like.
between 55 and 60 decibels.
Well, yeah, between 58 and 60 decibels, right. Just so you know, I don't understand the math. I mean, if you wanted to say it from the far side of the crusher, you know, then that is very, very close to 300 feet, but you didn't draw it from the, you put it from the midpoint, which is, I understand that, or close to the midpoint. So I like the position where it is better than where it was, but it gets it very close to this other house. What did you do about that?
Is that their house?
That's
over?
ours.
That's yours.
That's part of the subdivision.
Okay,
Right.
okay, good.
Okay.
David, can you review the decibel levels and kind of your chart there where you have, you've demonstrated the distance between the crusher and the property lines? Can you go through and just talk about the decibel levels, you know, from 22 feet away at 79.2 decibels down to, you know, compared to a leaf blower, compared to a chainsaw, compared
Sure.
to a generator? I mean, you got to give the board some relationship here as to the
Sure.
noise.
So typical household equipment that's normally used under the regular day and non-construction period times
The
is
household, it's actually lawn maintenance and outside property maintenance stuff that
Lo-
you have. Other
correct.
than
Ha-
talking.
Outside of talking and conversation, it's normal lawn maintenance and outdoor equipment, which we're referring to as a leaf blower, a chainsaw, and a generator. A typical leaf blower is 95 decibels, a typical chainsaw is 110 decibels, and a generator is approximately 70 decibels. Now, we understand, duly noted.
When you give us those decibels, is that at the operation of the piece of equipment itself? Yeah. Okay.
So the chart demonstrates at the varying differences of distances from the property lines of 60 Kerry Lane and the neighboring properties. As you see, decibels at 22 feet is approximately 79.2 decibels. At 150 feet away from, again, this is all from the rock crusher itself, it's with 62.7. At 450, which we understood that Richard noted that it's not 450. We're going to conclude that it's less than 450. So it's somewhere between, let's call it what we already know of 185 to 335. It's somewhere between 60.9 to, or 55 to 60.9. At 185 feet, we're at 60.9. At 335 feet, we're at 55 decibels. At 410, we're at 53.9, and at 760, we're at 48 decibels. All within reason, as we also have casual conversation, which is not on this chart, but we have calculated as typical conversation levels are approximately anywhere from 50 to 60 decibels.
Not my house, but okay.
I was gonna say, in that world, but
In our house, the children have left a long time ago, and it's nowhere near that anymore.
So the main comments were, one, the levels of noise, which again, there are no restrictions to noise or decibel levels in the town code. It's silent. It's not addressed. There are no restrictions or thresholds. Here we've demonstrated that these decibel levels within varying distances from the rock crusher, I think, are all within reason and what I would deem acceptable for any typical neighbor or anyone else in the area. If that was the major, I think, comment, and the location of the crusher itself was one of the other major comments.
Well, the other thing that you've done that we recommended was not to crush, on weekends and holidays.
Correct, which we've eliminated those days that we would operate. We don't have a problem with that at all. That's perfectly
Is
amenable
the
to that.
crushing continuous, or is it crush for a few days, break, do other site stuff, come back and crush?
It is not continuous. It would probably be a couple of days, and given we have 6 total days, we would probably stage it to a point where it'd be a set of initial days of 2 days, come back with what after we've removed a certain amount of material, go to another 2 days, and then wrap up whatever's left over that we need to do for the balance of the project.
Like a 2 to 3 week window of crushing,
Correct.
but not continuous.
Correct.
Gotcha.
One of the other issues we talked about last time, he's not here tonight, but Tom Curley asked about in particular, was trying to get a feel as to the number of days, what we really were dealing with in terms of quantity. And in fact, I think there was a recommendation that we would try to get information. Now, you've given us totals. Were these based on the borings that we had recommended or other kinds of testing to just give us an idea of what the quantity of stone is here, or is it still just kind of eyeballed based on experience?
Well, this is again, we've excavated a certain amount of area and already chipped a certain amount of rock, and revealed the rock ledge that's necessary to get to eliminate or to reduce in order to get to the road level elevations, and it's done based on height, width, and calculations. So it's not just eyeballing it; it's really just exact physical dimensions of existing ledge rock that we've already physically uncovered.
So that goes to the issue again of Greg's question, and that is the quantity and number of days, and when do you think this would all be completed? Would this be completed when we're still leafed out? And that, of course, gives us some sort of buffering on noise as well, as opposed to doing it in November. When the leaves are down, we have less buffering from the wind.
No, we would be planning on doing this within the next 30 days.
Okay, the whole thing, okay.
30 to 45 days, let's say, because we're moving along, and this would be part of the project in order to bring it to the road completion level.
Right. I think also one of the things that we should look at, or actually refer to DPW, is of course your traffic plan with the number of trucks that you're going to be using. Normally, the commissioner likes to look at this, make sure there's not pre-existing road damage, see what the road issues are. So if there's any damage to the road because of your trucks, that's taken care of by the commissioner. And I think my guess is that most of your trucks could be R permit trucks over 80,000 pounds. So he may even want to come up with a plan for your traffic, how you approach, where you exit from, et cetera, to make sure that you don't damage, culverts, et cetera.
I believe that you've obtained a street opening permit from Jerry already, though.
Correct.
you just speak into the microphone.
Does that take care of this thing, though, the traffic plan as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
The road plan? Okay.
Just to clarify, our truckloads for removing material off the site are not over the 80,000 pound threshold.
What are they?
They're just.
Pardon me? 79. Oh. Thank you. Well,
That's what you're permitted for, okay.
Right.
There's
so
a reason
we're
for it,
within.
because you don't have an R permit then, right, for the over?
Can you speak into the microphone?
The R permit on the trucks gives you up to 79. Without the R permit, you're at like 68,000
Okay.
pounds.
Okay.
So then we don't run overweight.
Okay. Good. But that's already taken care of, Bob? That's a part of it? Okay, great. So that is not something that we need to put into our resolution then, because it's already something that's being done at the building department
Well, I
level?
would
or
imagine when
DPW level?
Jerry discussed it with them, he'd probably assumed that it was gonna be coming off in the normal fashion with more trucks. So now that the truck will be decreasing, I mean, if you want them to amend the permit,
I just-
it's up to you. I don't think there's any
I-
reason for it.
I
It's like
just
said,
wanna make
Jerry
sure
was
there's a plan.
assuming When he first issued the permit, that everything was gonna be.
He's
brought up-
assuming all of the material would be moved off-site.
That's right.
So we're at
More
this point
conservative.
reducing, coming well within the
Good,
limits
good,
of the
okay.
permit.
Can we also assume that the hours of operation will apply to the trucks as well? Same days, and you'll be finished by 4:30 and that kind of stuff?
Yes, we can assume that
And we
the
can condition it-
trucking would be within the days
condition
of
that as part of it
operation
as
as
well.
proposed by the contractor.
Okay. Good. Any other questions? Comments, thoughts? Comments from the public on this application? This is a continued public hearing. The record shows that we've received a number of letters on the application. We've seen them all. Letters were fairly consistent in terms of content, but we have all those and part of the record. Bob, anything, or Sabrina, anything on this?
Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
no comment.
All right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Les, I was looking at the table, but you're not there. You're in a phone.
Charlie.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask one question.
Mhm.
In the resolution, there's a provision for the hours of rock crushing. Do we want to have, and maybe you've discussed this, do you want to have hours for the rock removal?
Yep.
Rock what? Oh, removal.
Yeah, we'll just add that. That's a good
Gonna add
idea.
the word removal to after crushing.
Okay.
Be trucking.
And trucking.
And the trucking as well.
Yours of rock crushing, removal, and trucking.
Rock crushing, rock removal, and trucking.
Crushing, removal.
Say that again?
It's cracking.
Rock crushing, rock removal, and trucking.
And removal.
Not occur on weekends and holidays.
If a question just for clarification. So when we say cracking, you mean cracking in the crusher, not chipping?
I meant chipping.
Yeah, chipping makes more sense.
No, that doesn't work. Because chipping, we're going to do
They're
more.
allowed to do chipping as part of their
Oh,
approval.
they can do chipping
Yeah, but
before
they cannot do
7:30 to
crushing.
8, but they can't do
Yes.
chipping before 7:30 and after.
Correct.
Okay, then fine.
Correct. They're
Okay.
further restricting the hours for the
The
crushing,
crusher.
and now you're asking them to restrict the crushing and the related trucking.
Which again, I'm not sure that the removal, I understand and I'm amenable to the crushing, but I want to be very careful about when the removal is because that's going to be a logistical matter. And I don't want to be, we only have 6 days of crushing. So to remove rock, we theoretically we would have had 125 truckloads to now restrict me from the time frame to remove rock is a bit,
No, I think just the hours of removal, not the 6 days.
just to make that, just to
This
make
is only about the hours.
Just the
of rock
hours.
crushing.
Days of the week and the
hours
hours.
of hours.
6 o'clock at night, they're not trucks flowing out of the site.
Okay, understood. Just wanted to
But we
clarify.
understand that the removal may take longer, probably will take longer than 6 days.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Right, you're just restricted to weekdays between 8 and 4:30 to crush and remove.
To crush and remove,
Where does
understood.
it say crush and remove?
We added the word remove on number 3,
Yeah, there was a new
page
version that
3.
went around.
Yes.
So I think we were going to add the hours of rock crushing, rock removal, and trucking shall not occur.
Yeah,
Yep. Got it.
we do, okay.
Well, we do. Do you?
I don't know, I'm looking for it.
It's on page 3.
Item 3, paragraph 3, line 30.
Line 32.
32?
Yep.
Well, the revised one I have here just says, hours of rock crushing shall not occur on weekends and holidays for number 3.
And shall be limited to weekdays,
Now we're adding
8 to 4:30.
rock crushing.
We're
rock
adding.
removal, and trucking, is that what is being added?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd call it rock
Okay.
movement.
Can you read all that?
I think it should be rock movement.
Just time.
Yes.
I'd make it rock movement and trucking, because there's gonna be rock moved on the site.
Rock movement and trucking. That's
Yeah,
fine.
rock crushing, rock removal, and trucking. Yeah, all three.
Rock and roll.
It's
I
written out.
think, hopefully, no trucks will roll over, so I'm,
It says it. No limitation on.
don't want to give people ideas.
Right,
So
right.
you just say a little more.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Understood.
Okay.
Good.
All right, good?
Yeah, good.
Are we all clear?
Yeah, we're good. Are you good?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, good.
Good.
Do you want me to repeat it to you?
Yes.
Okay. On page 3, line 32, item number 3, language has been changed. The hours of rock crushing, rock removal,
Oh, rock movement, I want
Rock.
to use. Movement.
instead of removal,
Well,
rock removal, movement, and trucking
that's wonderful. Do we have
shall
enough?
not occur on weekends and holidays and shall be limited to weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Wonderfully said.
Thank you.
Are you okay with that?
That's works, yes.
Okay.
Is it okay that the resolution does not reference the new name of the street? It's still calling it Carey Lane, even though it won't be Carey Lane when the
Well,
house is
what
built.
is it now?
Oh, I don't know, but
We don't know yet. It's
It's gonna
fine.
be
The
Lena- it's gonna
resolution,
be
this
Lena
is how
Lane.
it went through originally. It's consistent.
okay, but that doesn't change the fact that the name of the street will be changed when
Correct.
it gets
To
a street
something.
address.
And you still have a
Lena-
tax map
Lena Lane, I
designation.
think.
Maybe
Lena
now or
Lane.
formally.
Yeah, I think it.
We can
is
hold
that,
up
is that your
everything.
mother?
That's correct.
Ah.
She's
It's
absolutely,
lovely.
she was absolutely
And she's going to make sure this thing gets done fast. Get her name on that, I'm sure.
You can change it then.
Okay. I think one of the things before we close this is there might want to be a recommendation from the planning board because it seems to me that there should be some sort of legislative changes from the town board to, as other towns have done, to start to take a look at rock chipping and rock crushing as our town becomes more congested. It really is a burden. The rock chipping is just, can really drive you nuts after a while. But other communities have done this, and we might want to, suggest something to the town board in terms of, you may want to take this up and take a look at what other communities have done.
So,
Can you hear that, Les?
I did. I think it's a good idea because then it can be handled, that can be handled administratively. As you always have blasting, and you've got all the details and a legislative framework for that. But it would be helpful to have a framework for this as well. It could also be handled administratively with the types of conditions that we've talked about this evening as well.
Yeah. This
Blasting
is
permit
a,
Blasting permit is handled by the building inspector.
Yes,
yeah, no,
could
this
be
is a
applied
whole.
towards him.
absolutely.
This is a whole that we should change.
Yep.
Yes. No. That's,
Okay, so duly noted, I would hope, on the record.
do we draft a memo?
I think we have
Yeah,
to
I think we
draft a
should do that.
memo.
That's a good idea. Okay, good.
Draft amendment.
At this point, is there a motion to adopt the resolution as amended?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And is there a motion then to forward a memo to the town board making the recommendation that they should take a look at legislation with regard to rock crushing and rock chipping?
Yes?
We have chipping, don't we?
No?
We don't?
No?
No.
The thing we have on
Chipping,
books is
Unbelievable.
blasting.
packing,
And you might as well add the other two.
movement, removal.
Chipping
And crushing.
and crushing.
Okay.
and it will
And have the
enable the
building
town
inspector.
board also to impose fees for those activities on a daily basis if it wishes.
That's a good point, right? There'll be a fee associated with it.
We don't do anything without a fee, come on.
Fees, we don't want fees.
The fee could discourage lengthy removal process.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Have that approved by the chair outside of a meeting since,
Yes,
Yes.
That's part of the motion?
yes.
Okay, good. Second was Greg?
Greg-
Second.
Greg seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank for
Great.
dropping
Thank you very
by.
much. Have a great evening.
yep, thanks.
Two.
all right, on to the next.
Okay, our next item is informal hearing for a pending application. This is Singh, formerly the Tavo Development LLC. This is an application for a final re-subdivision plot, a lot line amendment in 15 Heathcoat Drive.
See these
The condition.
satisfy these conditions, you can get your permit.
Hey, Michael, how are you?
Call me up when you get these in. I'll meet you, just like we did the subdivision. Actually, what about shipping and pressure? Find out where they have two
Just wondered if you had aspirations.
Clearly that day, those days are gone.
No, you just moved on to a new set of aspirations. Pardon me, but no.
So what did you do? Did you tell 'em-
I said, when is it gonna be done? She said, we're done, we're gonna be taking off that. I said,
So while you're setting that up, in defense of Tom,
He says, will do.
your cover letter indicated that he had a bad memory. So we should have,
I think so. Don't you?
that's why he didn't show up. He's so upset.
Yeah,
You hurt
I
his
think a
feelings.
phone call would be appropriate.
Flowers,
Flowers.
vegetative buffer.
This
No,
is a
but that
pen,
wasn't this application,
All right.
different one.
No, but it was involved the same character.
Okay, here we go.
okay, this is a pending application. This is Lot 5 and Lot 26 being joined together into one lot, creating a 4.651 acre lot. Things that are different than before is we are no longer proposing a tennis court, we are no longer proposing a pool, but we are proposing a larger house. Everything is pretty much the same. The driveway is pretty close to being exactly the same as it was before. The septic is going to be the same as it was. There's no real other change than just a bigger house, no tennis court, and no swimming pool. We're going to do all the things within the memos. In fact, we're doing right now the drainage portion of it. I talked to the town engineer this morning and realized what we have to do before the public hearing. But he did give me before the public hearing to get it done, up to the 23rd, and which is not a problem. I think we've already started working on it. There's nothing more different now than there was before. We're avoiding all the steep slope areas by leaving the driveway where it was, and we're going forward from there. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Are you reducing the number of trees clearing?
We are reducing the number of trees, and we're going to go back through the trees and make sure that, I just have to make sure that we're reducing them and removing the ones, we don't want to have an excess of amount of trees that we're putting in. But pretty much what we did is we followed the plan that was from the old landscape architect. We just followed what he did, but I still have to go through and just see if we didn't get overzealous and put more trees than we should have. Because we reduced the trees, so I have to make sure.
Okay, a question.
Yes.
Two questions. This is labeled future septic.
Yes.
Where's the current septic?
The current septic is up.
Here's the pointer, Michael.
Mike,
I'm
Here,
gonna give
we
you
have
one.
plenty up here.
Very much. It's right in this area.
Is it?
believe it
Okay.
now.
That's steep slope, though.
Yeah.
How
it
could that
doesn't
be?
matter. We're not going to be utilizing it at all.
Well, if you're not going to utilize it, then it's going to be up here,
It's
halvesies?
gonna be up there. We've already tested up there. We're going to actually draw in where the fields are, avoiding any trees if we can avoid them. Remember, when we look at the trees and stuff, we have to look at the worst-case scenario, as if we're going to clear everything. We don't have to clear the expansion at all, so we're not going to. But we do want to clear this center of the area that we had before, well, not this, all the existing trees, but we do want to keep that as yard area, because my owner, the client, wants a little bit of openness in the
Okay,
back.
so theoretically then, if I understand your words, the current will be here now, in this half.
Absolutely. Wherever we're avoiding trees. We can go left and right and avoid trees.
Well, I would like to know about this 48-inch oak that's
It
right
has
here.
been- I believe that tree has now been hit by lightning, and it is no longer a tree. It just didn't.
How
have
did you
the tree.
arrange that?
Oh, I just-
Planning board lightning.
lightning hit, and they put lightning down on it, and it just blew it up. So that tree is no longer a tree to worry about. I believe that that's a tree that got hit.
Steve,
We
you're
should
going
update these plans.
to check that one,
It's brand
right?
new. I just found out.
I will check and
I would
confirm.
like to know more about the process, how
Yes.
that happened, but,
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
Do you have a waiver on the expansion at this point? Do we have a waiver from the county?
no, the waivers, the way they work is unfortunately, you have to file for a building permit first.
Ah,
Then he fills out the
I
application.
did write a letter
and then
to
the county
them
signs
saying
off
I
on it.
would
Right.
be doing that
Right,
because that was part of, asking them.
Right.
But they didn't come back with anything. They
okay,
just-
got it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, based on the tree removal, they are showing, less trees. They had an estimate of 39 trees. And one of the things I asked is that they bring their analysis to the current amended, Chapter 121, so that we get an accurate representation of the replacement. It should be less than what was previous.
Yeah, I think one of the things is if this tree here is dead or dying,
Blown up, yeah.
okay. Oh, okay, I got so many options here. Anyway, but I would say here that this is worth a lot of trees. I mean, it's like 12 trees, right, or something like that?
What area? Go ahead, do it again, please.
It's right here.
Yeah, there are there are trees there, but since we're.
This was scheduled to be knocked down, 48 inches.
Correct.
It was, yes. It was scheduled to be knocked down, but I can sort of solve that problem.
Okay, but now, so when you say you're going back to look, you're going to go back and think about that impact. Once Steve says, yeah, indeed, it's a goner.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
After 200 years.
We're going to adjust based on that.
All right.
If you get the waiver from the county, once we file the necessary permits, do we have any idea what the configuration might look like and what we might be able to
The
save?
configuration, which is going to show you what we are saying is the proposed trenches, or the primary area, and the expansion area. But from that, we can go and play games and go both directions.
Well, you've
Well, the
done
point
in
is the tree issue, and that is, I don't know if we have
Right.
like a contingent, a tree plan, whereby if we,
We ask applicants typically to identify the number of trees in what they are calling the primary
primary zone,
area,
right.
and the number of trees in the expansion area, and we kind of go through both scenarios, but they would have to pay the tree removal fee for everything that they intend to remove.
Right, but I think Dick is trying to get some sort of feeling as to, what it might look like if you get the
Yeah,
waiver.
We're going to put the trenches in, but we're going to get the waiver. They give the waiver for everything now. They always give it. I'm not too worried about it because
There's no guarantee on that.
you can get there. Meaning if you
Okay.
can't get to the
Right,
area.
oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, of
they're
course.
saying if you can get there to bring in extra fill, which nobody ever does, if you could drive in and do that there. But we will show you where the trenches are. But when they build it, they can, if they want to keep the trees, they can say, I'm going to keep that tree. I'm going to, we need 10 feet from the field itself.
But not only, if you don't have to build the expansion, not only are the trees impacted, we might see more trees saved, but also some of the cut and fill will change also.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So should we see that? Isn't that
Yeah.
something that's realistic in terms of how the trees are going to live and
Right,
survive if we're not impacting the
And I
roots?
think, as Sabrina mentioned, we usually like to see a breakdown on the
Right.
primary and the expansion,
And they
then
charge for, all the trees eventually coming down.
and then
Then if we save some-
demarcate where the expansion area would be, and that'll help us with how much
Right.
fill or grading would change as well.
Those are all the as the plans proceed,
Right. And the
those
other,
are conditions, and there's language in the conditions to make sure that we capture all the differences.
great. And then the other issue is that under the new tree ordinance, we have some flexibility that instead of tree replacement, maybe you come back with some shrub replacement that makes more sense for you guys as well as us.
One of the other comments I had is that, because it was a previous landscape architect, I would recommend that they take a look at the layout of the tree replacement. And this current plan does not have any foundation plantings either, and that's an opportunity where they could use the shrubs and other things as part of the, tree
The
replacement.
count, yeah. I'm going to go look at that section of and just see what it says so I can,
Michael, please speak into the microphone.
Yep.
so I can do it properly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right.
By the way, have you been to the ZBA yet? Are you on the ZBA?
No, we won't be on the ZBA until September. So we'll be, when you go to the ZBA, you hand it in at the start of the month, the meeting at the end of the month.
Right, no, I know.
No matter what. And they
Right.
don't meet in August,
Yes.
so we can't do anything.
So the first one that you could be on would be the end of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a thought about the variance and this property. Sitting here and looking at applications that come up before us, experience would suggest that when you see a house of this size on a property of this size, eventually, if not this owner, another owner's going to come back and ask for a pool on this property.
If he
And-
does, he has to go through the full process, just like he would,
Well,
anybody else would.
Because we've run into so many difficulties with pools that are put into properties retroactively, would there be any point to having a pool drawn on it, so that if the ZBA is looking at a variance, they're looking at a variance with the possibility of a pool. And then, if not this owner, but another owner, then sees where a pool can be sited.
But we have-
Or do we want to make a recommendation that there should be no pool on the property if a variance is given on the FAR, on the.
One of our problems here is this is a 1 acre zone.
And it's,
And
yeah.
Right.
the building is beyond what's allowed.
Right.
And so a pool would then add more to
I
what's
know.
Not to
beyond.
FAR,
Not to
not
the
to
FAR.
FAR.
For development.
What is over
Oh, I
is the
misread
floor
something.
area. The
FAR.
development
They are over.
coverage, the development coverage is under, the building coverage is under. It is the FAR that
Okay.
is over.
Which is
And-
being driven by being in a 1 acre zone.
Correct.
The site's a lot
On-
bigger.
on
And,
a
and
four
the
and a
site
half
is now
acre.
going to be 4 acre, over
Yeah,
4
but it's-
acres.
But one of the issues is that it really is at this point still not 4 acres because the subdivision still hasn't taken place. We haven't done that. So the lot
Correct.
lines haven't changed. So we're
Hopefully
kind of
we
jumping
will.
ahead. We're out of order here a little bit, so we need to fix that at some point, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's why they're before you. And-
Right,
and
yes.
so to be quite honest with you, in my review, they need to do more work on this plan
Mm-hmm.
and provide more information prior to this board setting a public hearing, which involves the lot line changes.
Yep.
We need, my memo kind of goes through the identified things that need to be put on this plan, the changes that need to be made. Is it too soon for them to be going into ZBA? I can't answer that. At the end, if this board approves this lot line change, it'll be a 4 acre property in a 1 acre zone. There is enough room in the development coverage for them to do a future pool. You can require as part of the lot line merger that any future development on the lot comes back to the planning board, as you have done in the past. And you can put the 10 and 15% restrictions, or you
Yep.
may not want to put the 10% restriction because of the building, in the building coverage, because of the size of the building and the variance that they're seeking.
So that's a very good idea. So we wouldn't let the building get bigger, but we could
You let
allow the
somebody do some
development
site.
coverage.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that.
So they could do a pool, they could do a tennis court, they could do a patio.
Well, I don't
Correct.
think they have enough room for a pool and a tennis court.
Or pool.
Well, they have to
They-
meet they have to
Meet the
stay within the development coverage.
But if you're gonna have them put that on, they have to demonstrate too, they can have stormwater
Correct.
to manage all of those extra impervious areas.
right.
Agreed.
Correct. It would be the standard clause that you put on, but you would not allow an exception. You'd specifically state due to the needed variance for the building area that you would not allow any increases in building coverage.
I think that's a very good idea, and I don't think we have to design for for a possible future thing until someone wants to do it, because then they can do the drainage
Yeah,
also.
when somebody puts in a pool, they're required to do the drainage.
Yeah. So that sounds good. Now, but I'm still, it's a big building, and so it goes over the FAR. I'm just curious, is this up here, is this 1 acre zoning too?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
So why does the building have to be so big?
That's what the gentleman who has purchased the property wants on the property. He wants a big house. He doesn't want a pool. He doesn't want a tennis court. He's not looking for that. That's why we took them off, because he's not looking for it in the future or anything else. But there might be somebody that buys it in the future that says, I need a pool on the site. Tennis courts are a whole different thing, and I don't even want to go there. But he may want a pool. He may want a pool, and then he'll come back to you to discuss the pool. What's he going to do and how the drainage? We had drainage in the back for the pool and the tennis court. We
Yeah.
have since taken it out.
Okay, that's all fine, I understand that, but I still have the same question. Why does the house have to be so big that it doesn't conform with the FAR requirements?
They want the house that size.
That's nice. I mean, people want a lot of things, but
Well,
it doesn't mean that they
No,
get
no,
it.
I understand that, but we're talking about a 4.6 acre lot. We're not talking about a 1 acre lot in a 1 acre zone, putting a huge, crazy house on it. This is a very, very large lot. With this added onto it, which is what I think we're doing now, that makes it a very, very large lot. But it's still going to end up being only one house. And if you want, you can restrict it. There is no other real way to.
Well, another restriction would be that no subdivision,
No further subdivision of the lot.
and that would help me with it being an outsized lot in a 1 acre zoning. But it gets to another issue that if we're going to write a memo on crushing, we maybe need a memo on, how do we deal with reasonably compatible outsize things that occur because there is a parcel that's 2 or 4 times the,
Well, we have that with the FAR, and what they're doing is appealing from it. So we have that, they're appealing from our regulation.
Yeah, no, the
We have the
request, they
restriction.
have to go to
So
the
they have to go to
ZBA
ZBA.
and show certain needs, meet certain criteria in front of the ZBA, and the ZBA will determine whether or not that this variance request is
okay, so
legitimate.
they would have to come with particulars as
They have
opposed to, I
standards
just
to meet.
want it.
No,
Okay.
they have standards they need to meet
Okay.
in order to,
Right, it can't be approved by us without that,
Correct, it
without a
cannot.
variance, because the
Okay,
law
perfect.
is there.
your approval would be subject to,
Yes,
if
Yes.
they are not done
Right.
with the ZBA by that time.
exactly.
There's no
Can I
guarantee
add
of it.
something?
Yes, Les, go ahead.
I would just say that I'm a little concerned about the restricting future subdivision. I would feel better about that if it came as a condition of the ZBA's variance as opposed to the planning board just imposing that requirement.
Well, we can write a memo. That's a good idea.
Please.
Because that's really connected to the variance.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that it's a stronger connection than just the planning board, edict, there's no future subdivision.
As well
Thank
as
you
the
for
no
being
further
there.
increase in building coverage.
Yeah, that's we can clearly do. But
Yep.
I think I would feel better if the ZBA would impose that no further subdivision. The applicant should volunteer it, and the ZBA should accept it as a condition.
So the planning board should do a memo to the ZBA in reference to this application that if the ZBA is inclined to grant the variance being requested, that no further subdivision be a condition of that variance.
Right,
Yeah, I think that's good.
good. I think that makes good sense.
good.
Sabrina, is there anything else you want to talk about with?
No, he's received my memos and whatnot. I think that this information, at least my information, is required before you set a public
Right, or
hearing.
yes, I agree. And Bob, you had information too that you need.
Yeah, basically, I don't know if you want me to go over all of the items, but basically the big items I had, which I think he should submit prior to the public hearing, is ST1, ST2, ST3, and G4 regarding the stormwater report, which is ST1, ST2 is the soil data sheets, which I believe you sent to me today. ST3 is the overall piping, be a little bit more clear on that, how that's going to be connected into the town system. And then G4, which is the absorption fields on the plans. I think, Dick, you were asking about that too. I mean, he's gonna need 864 linear feet of absorption fields. Not that I don't believe you, but I just wanna make certain that's all gonna fit there. That's
Yeah.
quite a bit.
We'll show you. We've
Good.
done it.
Yeah.
That's double it because you need primary and 100% expansion, so.
Yeah, no, we'll.
You'll get
glad to show
1,700
you
linear
exactly.
feet.
Yep. Okay,
And you need more than one point for that large area, right? To check the actual percolation, or is that going to be?
Oh, they have,
Yeah,
for the
we-
primary, you
we've
need 2, for the expansion, you
Yeah,
need 1.
well,
But these are
actually, we have
huge.
4
Do they
tests
need
out
more than 1 or 2? Because the length is so great.
It's, the rule is 2 in the primary, 1 in the expansion. We went 2 and 2, so.
Okay.
We've
Okay.
done more, and we have had it witnessed and everything else by the health department.
Right.
We're doing all the stuff the health department wants, so we're
okay.
that.
Okay,
Close, I
well,
believe.
pardon us, we're just I'm making sure you got all what you need, so.
I know Les mentioned something before about the letter that you got from the DEP.
Yes, I gave
If
you
you just
copies of
send
that.
Les, I think, I agree with Les too, where you might want to send the updated plan to them, just so they have the
Sure.
right plan
right,
Yeah,
on record.
absolutely.
yep,
Just Les
Yeah.
did mention that before, and I agree.
good.
Right.
Okay.
One more item on that, the condition about no future subdivision. I would even suggest that not only do they impose a condition, that they might consider requiring a deed restriction to that effect to be recorded against the property.
I agree with that.
Good idea.
And you need to pass resolution, motion for us to draft that for chair's signature,
The memo,
the memo.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Do that.
You want to do that now, or we might have other things we want to include in the memo? We haven't finished, Steve hasn't gone through his report yet.
Oh, pardon me.
Just historical information that the Heathcoat subdivision, since I've been with the town, I know of 5 different properties that have had to redo their septics. You know, so part of it is because I don't know if you remember that entire area, majority of it was wetland that was systematically drained and went through a
Over
court
a long time ago,
years ago.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is Woodbridge type soils and Paxton soils, and
Mhm.
you know, they have a tendency to not work very well long-term for septic. This is something to keep in mind with the expansion areas. There's a strong likelihood that they may need that in the future.
Well, that's a good note. We'll have to come back and visit that. You'll probably, when you did the holes, did you characterize the soils?
Yes, yes, it was, everything was done according to whatever rules there was with the health department. So it was completely done the way.
Sure, but what about there being, are there Woodbridge soils there?
So, well, I'm not a soils expert, but if you look at the USDA,
LW.
yeah, and the soils, it is Paxton and Woodbridge. The same reason that he knows exactly what the soils are is he's looked at the same maps I have. And they are sea soils, which are a little bit slower, but we've done on-site percolation and we've dug holes and everything else. So we're right where we should be. We're not floundering or anything else.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or issues on Steve's memo?
Would like to go, because I'm working my tail off because of certain items that have to be done by the 23rd for the meeting on the 31st. I would like to go to a public hearing if I could on the 31st
You know,
Of what?
No.
July?
of this month.
July?
Oh, no, I mean,
no
no,
need to do.
Why am I working so hard to get everything all set for these guys when reality is it's not going to happen anyway? So I'm really trying to get everything done that they said, get that done before the meeting. And so I'm,
Well, we wanted everything done that you could get done for this meeting, because otherwise, we discussed it would be discussed at the next meeting.
no,
And-
that's not what I'm saying.
Michael, if you can, let's put it this way. If you can get your information in, we can schedule you on the 31st to review your information and set the public hearing for the board's next meeting. They don't meet in August, but, you know, we really need this additional information.
We can do that. The way it was written in the memos was that we would go to a public hearing on the 31st, if we did this work. If we,
Right. But now that all this work needs to be identified and that there's no time for staff to review it, more prudent methodology would be to postpone the public hearing. And also, since you can't build anything until you get your variance, which if the ZBA is still meeting the end of September, you're a long ways off from that.
then if possible, can we set the public hearing for the first possible meeting in September? And that way I can get all the work done. You can have
Maybe that makes more sense.
nothing in September?
No,
no.
There's something in September.
Jewish holidays.
I knew
There's nothing in September?
There's not one
Just
meeting.
one special meeting for
There's a
Chapel
special
Crossing.
meeting for Chapel Crossing.
If they,
Well, then give him an alternate. If they don't show up, we'll have a special meeting for this. That's a suggestion. I mean, why, 2 months off?
I thought it sounded really good.
What it does is
You
it
know what,
makes a nice, interesting day when we come back. It's
No,
punishment.
no. I mean,
We'll if we have if we have the availability to have a meeting and
Yeah.
place other items on the 5th, we absolutely will.
I think it's the 6th, isn't it? September 6th?
6th. I don't know.
Maybe the 5th. Well, whatever. It's the Tuesday after Labor Day,
If that doesn't happen, what is our meeting date? in
October 2nd.
October 2nd.
And the due date for October 2nd, please?
September
September
something.
4th is Tuesday.
I knew that much. That's about it.
6, 2 weeks?
10th,
usually?
September 10th?
How many
Well,
weeks?
September 4th is the
Okay.
Tuesday after Labor Day.
When's that mean?
September is on a Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday.
September 5th is a
What is
Wednesday.
September
I
5th.
mean, what's the due date for October 2nd?
September
September
10th.
And the fifth, well, I just gotta get it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I believe that we have done everything that we have to do.
Okay.
We're not going to go public hearing, so we're going to ship it off a little longer. I think I've done everything, I've talked about everything that you asked about.
Yeah, just you're going to send the slightly improved drawings as to what's happening, what you'd like to have
Yeah.
happen up there, and
Yeah, we
you'll
already
have the
laid
tree
out.
count pinned down a little bit better. Steve's going to take a look at, you're going to send Steve a photograph of the tree, so he doesn't
That
have to
one, yeah,
work,
we can do
okay?
that.
And you know, and then we can write, should we have a draft resolution? I don't
I guess we need a motion for that now.
Yeah, we need a motion for a draft resolution for the next meeting, which,
Well, we have, no, I don't think we're there.
A
For the
memo.
For the
Yeah.
memo going to the
Memo to the
ZBA.
zoning
Oh, yeah.
board.
For consideration of the
Chairman's
ZBA.
signature.
okay, so then we get the memo, and then they can go to the ZBA in September if they like.
Correct.
Yeah.
And depending on where chips may fall and information may or may not be received, we can schedule you at the earliest available planning board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have part of what you wanted.
Motion, please.
Somehow, yes.
Yeah, is there a motion for the memo then?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Chair's signature.
yeah, that was part of it.
Right, Sabrina, in terms of the scheduling of the public hearing, he's gonna have to do advertising, so he's gonna have to know in advance when that's gonna be. So what's gonna be the criteria for determining whether it's gonna be October 2 or not?
No, we're not going to do September 5th. That's really what it's.
Yeah.
And when do we have to actually start to schedule it? Well, Janice probably knows. Exactly 10 days before. That's when.
10?
You're not gonna have a public hearing September 5th. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
So the public hearing will be on October,
October 2, and he can just advertise it. That's it.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So we'll plan that way.
Yep, okay.
And is that assuming that he comes in September, or is it
No, it's
possible-
assuming
No.
he submits the information that has been requested.
Right, by September
In
10
complete
for October
form.
2nd, yeah.
And to have the public meeting, do we need the zoning board of appeals?
No, you don't.
result?
It can be conditioned.
Yep.
Okay.
Is the board requesting that we draft a resolution for consideration on October 2nd?
Yeah, let's wait.
Be appreciated.
Well, why don't we'll see what it looks like in September 5. We'll get your recommendation at that point, because at that point.
You may not have this on your agenda on September.
I know that. I'm just saying, just a report, though. We wouldn't put it on the agenda just to get feedback from you guys where we are, and if you have the material that you need for the October 2nd meeting, so please don't.
So
I
why
don't
don't
mind
you
if
just
they have it.
make drafting a resolution contingent upon whether or not we have the information for the
Yeah,
October.
Right, and you would
2nd
report to
public
us on September 5 and say, yeah, we think we will be
if we
at
had-
a position
hearing.
where we
He
can
has
do
until
it.
September 10 for the October 2nd.
Well, I'm encouraging him not to take it to September 10, to get it in sooner, because he has a lot of time. He's been working his tail off, he said.
And look.
So I encourage, yes,
Yeah.
we encourage hard work, by the way.
Thank
So, I mean, just don't drag it out. If you get it in earlier, we can help you.
Yeah, okay, I will.
Is that okay? Is that fair?
But I think we could do a draft. I mean, it's, half the work is all the
Fine.
collation of the documents.
We can do that. That's fine.
It makes it easier to finalize it, I think.
Sure, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Fine.
Sheila,
If
okay?
Rita's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
So we have a motion then to direct staff to draw up a draft of a resolution?
So
for
moved.
October 2nd. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't worry, I'm going to keep going.
All right.
It's so much fun.
Okay.
Okay, well, don't go away.
You good?
Yes, thank you all for allowing me to do this. Greatly
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No
Have
worries.
a good evening.
Thank you, Charlie.
Sorry to interrupt your vacation, Les.
Enjoy the rest of the rest.
No problem. Okay.
Yep.
Don't want to get rusty.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
You too, bye-bye.
Okay, we now go to a continued public hearing. This is on the King Street Commons LLC, application for a special use permit, stormwater pollution prevention plan approval, 133 King Street. We will not be hearing the Chappaqua Central School District this evening. They've withdrawn from the agenda for this evening. And when is that going to be heard? October 2nd, Janice? Okay. Okay.
Very interesting.
Yes, it's public hearing, continued public hearing.
Okay. This site is 0.17 acres, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we got a variance to reduce the driveway coming in. We still have to go back to the DOT to get a permit, but the driveway's in the same spot the driveway was in, so there shouldn't be any real problem. Questions were there about the sewer line that's there. It's Let me borrow this for a second again.
Yep. I guess.
The sewer line is right here. This is an existing sewer line. We're not going to tear up the road to get to the sewer to the other side. They can use the line that's there. It's about 9.5 feet down. It actually comes from the back of the existing building around and comes out that way. I couldn't believe it when you told me that's where it is. And we'll do that. We have to locate some other stuff, like where the actual catch basin is that collects the stuff, because we have to know where it is so that they can think about.
Excuse me, Mike.
But they will
Michael?
have it. What?
Regarding the sewer line, did you do the calculations for the
I haven't got that.
increase in flow to make certain that
I'll be giving you that.
you know the existing diameter on that sewer pipe?
It's a 4-inch, yeah.
Make certain the new flows can handle?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they can handle
You're
it.
gonna-
I right now have 5 bedrooms at least going into it, and I'm going to have 6. So it should handle the flow just fine.
And you're gonna use low flow this and that and everything?
Everything. Right now, I'm sure that building doesn't have low flow anything in it. I'd be
Right.
surprised. But we always use low. In fact, it's the law now. I think they have to use low flow. So we will take care of everything that was been asked and everything.
But I
else.
thought you just said you're not going to put in a new line because you're not going across the street. Is that across the
No,
street?
we're not going to, we're going to, I would like it. Gotta use your computer.
And the microphone.
Right now, the line is going from here across the street. It exists. We're going to hook up right into here. It's 9.5 feet down, so it's really down there. It's really down there and easy enough to hook right into. And so it's not like, oh, geez, the line's way up here. I got to pump up to it. It's down there. And they don't ask me why they did that, but they did it historically. The existing building, it comes out the back and curves around, and back here it's much lower than the front, which is, well, not much, but lower than the front. You actually walk up the side of the building, and that's what they're going to do. The water lines are going to be new taps, but that'll all be part of the DOT approval. But the water line itself is on this side of the highway, so that is just going to be a hole by the
It's
side.
on the other side? The water line is also on the other side?
No, the water line's on this side.
I see, okay.
Okay, and so is the gas line. It's, I think, a new gas line, too. And our plan is to actually put in the system here and then bring it and let it hook into the existing line, which is here, and let it discharge to this catch basin, which is like right around here someplace. But we will have that all located so we know exactly where it is without any question. And I have some work to do. I'd like to discuss it with Bob, you know, discuss what we're doing and that we're lessening the flow and all that. So we will be, and we will have it all set. That's not a problem. That's just a do type of thing. And that's about it. You know, I'd like to close the public hearing and go forward.
Okay,
I have some questions.
sure.
With regard to the, Sabrina, I think I'm addressing this to you, or maybe to Jennifer. With regard to the incentives for density bonuses, are they as of right, or are they at the discretion of the approving agency?
No, they're as of right. They have to demonstrate that they meet the requirements of the MFRC zoning district, which they do, and they have to demonstrate the proper area dedicated regarding each of the incentives. And in the code, it says if they provide underground parking, they get X percentage of additional development area. And in this particular instance, Michael has applied those incentives correctly, but it is not per the will of the board. It's as of right in the MFRC overlay zone.
Okay. So I just have this observation, and it's kind of a conversation, which is I'm a little torn about this because on the one hand, the downtown is the appropriate place for density, and this is certainly a very dense, intense use of this property. But on the other hand, a house should have a backyard. You know, a house should have a little bit of outdoor space that.
It presently doesn't have a backyard or anything else. It has a front
Well,
yard.
it's not presently, it's not the ideal house on that location either. But now is an opportunity to build a better house.
It's a much nicer, what they're building
Right.
there, it's much nicer than what
Yes,
what
it is
there
much
now.
nicer, but on the other hand, it is, I think, a little bit dense. So this is a bigger question about how our code
Your
addresses the density.
recreation fee.
But that's fine.
That's another story too. There is a recreation fee, but I just mean how density bonuses are applied altogether, so that somehow we ended up with a building that occupies just about every
Correct,
bit of
and-
space available on this piece of property, to the point where There, as far as I could tell, there's no location for a dumpster yet. I mean, is
Well,
there
and
even room
those
to
are
put a
things that need
dumpster?
to be,
Or where the air conditioning unit's gonna go.
Or where the air
A
conditioning
lot of
units
things
are
that
gonna
don't show up
you
on the
know.
drawings.
Plenty of places for the air conditioning unit in this
Well,
particular one.
ordinarily, there
They
would
should
be
be on
plenty
the
of
drawing
places,
then.
but not
They go
on
to
this.
coverage, they go to sound, they go to noise, they go to screening.
Yeah,
You have
but air
to
conditioning,
sleep in the
like-
bathtub,
Yeah.
but
No,
air
no, no,
conditioning.
but yes,
We dealt with this at 91 Bedford.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
want to see it on here.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
If I could just interject too, in taking a look at the code and some of the prior documentation, my understanding is that the incentive densities are certainly written into the MFRC code. There's a formula for how much the density to be applied is, but it is subject to special permit standards. So as long as they meet the special permit standards as determined by this board, then the incentive densities are permitted. But there is
So, because the
certain
way
findings that the board needs to make.
Right,
under
because the
code.
way this works is, this is a sideways house that has been given a front porch to make it look like it's a house fronting the street, but it's really a sideways house that has utilized every bit of space possible on this piece of property. I think you need to come to the mic if you,
The entrance is, no, hold on.
You might as well just hold that.
Yeah.
Would you identify
Don't walk
yourself,
away
sir?
with it.
149 King Street.
Okay, there's one entrance right here in the front, and the other entrance goes down here. And that's how we get in. Or you could actually go in this porch right here if you wanted to, but they can walk right down this way to come into their house.
Or the front.
Or the front. The front is
So-
for the first apartment.
So where are the actual apartments if you see?
There's one apartment here, and there's one apartment there.
Do you have your architectural renderings?
so it's 2 3-bedroom apartments.
three-bedroom
2 3-bedroom apartments. Is that correct, Sabrina?
yes, that is correct.
Okay.
We'll have a time for, unless
You'll
you have
an
some
opportu-
important
they'll open the public
clarifications,
hearing.
we'll have a time at the end where for public
You
participation.
need to open the public,
No, it's a continuum.
It's a continuation.
Continuation.
yeah.
That's the first floor right there. And this is one entrance, and the other entrance is right over here. And there's also, you can come in the sliding glass door if that's where you want to be. You also can go into your garage, and you can go into your house that way. Same with this side, you can go in down through this way. There's 2 apartments, upstairs are 3 bedrooms, downstairs is.
Michael, you need to speak into the microphone. You can take it off there if you would like.
There's typical, apartments with space, with the,
So the garages are in.
We have to get one of those.
yes, those are garages
where
right there.
it's-
You clip on.
They're underneath, the,
How do you get to?
Then you can really work.
right through this door right here, and the other door is right here.
Do you know how hard it is to get improved technology for this room?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, wait, let me show you.
My name is Norman Hirsch. I live at 149 King Street, Unit 2. My name is John Priscantelli. Let me spell that for you. P-R-I-S. P-R-I-S-C-A-N-T-E-L-L-I. I live at unit number 10.
I gave you
Down again. No. This is great.
So Michael, is it actually the height of 3 stories because you've got the underground parking, so then you've got a 2-story building built on top of
No, they're not under the ground. They're just.
they're at ground level. But then, so you've got a level that you're parking, which is
The first
1
one,
level,
yeah.
and then 2 and 3.
No, not 2 and 3, but just 2.
There's 2.
Upstairs is
2,
just-
3.
There's living spaces
Three
and
bedrooms.
parking at
Oh,
the
on-
same level.
oh,
And then
gotcha.
the bedroom spaces are up top.
Okay, gotcha.
So, there's living space on top of it.
Excuse me, we,
Yeah, you need to use the microphone.
excuse me, okay? If you just could wait and be patient, we'd appreciate it very much.
That's the
Because that way
second
we can focus on him, and he doesn't, have to swivel his head. You see how bad his neck is, so we don't want to hurt it any more than it is.
floor.
For the sewage.
Yeah, that's the second floor right there. There is no 3rd floor, so that's it.
Okay. So recognizing that the downtown is an appropriate place to have a lot of density, it's still missing on the
If you-
plan, the plantings. it's missing the
plantings are there.
dumpster, it's missing the mechanical equipment. And because the space is so limited, it'd be nice to see that.
The one thing I think that Sabrina brought up was that's missing lighting plan.
Lighting. Yep.
We can talk about lighting, but I'm okay with everything that Steve had put into his memo about adding additional trees, putting in a hedge on this side. We're fine with that, we're not.
Microphone.
Microphone.
We have no problem with that, and we can show that stuff, and everything can be done without a problem. It all can be part or a requirement in the resolution, if you'd like, that we put in the air conditioner units. Everything else is there. There's water lines shown there. There's sewer lines shown there. There's
Okay,
plantings
we
shown
know
there.
that, we can see that.
And we have everything there.
But we want the other things because,
the only-
and there's a reason why, because, air conditioners make noise. So where are they gonna be?
Well, they're going to be on this side. That's where I would put them, on this side, in the nooks.
Yeah,
on the
and what's
side.
next door?
What? Next door is the dentist. It's not going to be a bother. It's a solid wall on that side. There's no openings. It's not a place where people play. or
Okay,
play.
well, that should be part of what's submitted.
That is. There's his building right there. I mean, his building is literally almost right on the line. It's an old existing building they reconditioned, but it's right there. But it is a dentist's office. It's not a place where people live or anything
Today
like
it's a
that.
dentist's office, tomorrow maybe something
No,
else?
it's going to, if it's something else, it still will be a closed
Commercial?
wall. It'll be commercial. I can't see that building ever being anything but commercial.
Well, geez, it's happened
It's-
before.
It's gonna, it's right
Yeah,
next
you
to a
can-
The dentist
residential
stays there, he's
building.
going to stay there for a long time. He's been there. It's his
And-
building.
No,
It's
but
his building.
you can't make that
How long is he
assumption.
gonna live? I mean, come on.
I'm
No,
sorry.
You're making up stuff.
You can't predict what's happening next door.
No, you
The
can't.
intention is that you need to screen and identify on your property the elements that may affect people outside of this property.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you, well put.
We can put air conditioning units, but they're going to be right on this side, and then there's going to be a hedge here because it was
We'd like to see it.
requested.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to also close this public hearing and move forward if we can. You can make it a condition up. I don't have a problem with that at all, as long as we keep going
it's-
forward.
And you have the stormwater plan is all in?
Yeah, no, there's additional
As-
things that
okay.
have been asked for, and it's written right in this memo what he needs, and actually doesn't need anything right now, but we will make that all a condition of, in fact, it's been written in as a condition of already. I don't have a problem with that. Take care of the conditions, get them done, but it keeps things rolling forward, and you're gonna be away for the whole month, so if you can, please, let us go forward so we have the summer to build and finish everything up and go forward, if possible.
So Sheila, did you get what you wanted in terms of the answer to your question no, okay,
No,
that's
I
what I
mean,
thought.
where's the dumpster gonna be? I mean,
Right.
that's
They're
actually.
gonna have garbage cans in the garage, just like I have garbage cans in my garage.
Because it's residential.
It's residential, and I live in a condo. You roll them out when the day comes, and you say, there's my garbage. It's out there, ready for the garbage man to take.
And where's it pick up? At the street corner?
Yeah, they come straight.
Okay.
What are the dimensions of the
She is
garage?
where I am, but my garbage man doesn't get out of the car.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
What are the dimensions of the garage? Because some garages are tighter than others.
On the other side, maybe.
This is the 2000, I was a little confused as to which one is the current, is this the current plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gave us some of the historical
Does this give you a-
sketches.
Yeah, I think it does. You put
20
the cans right along here.
He's got a schematic in here somewhere.
You'll actually leave them out here.
It goes to the point of it
Yeah.
being so built out that there's hardly room to move.
We, one of the problems that I have, along with, I guess, with Sheila, is that this is so packed, this site, that everything really should be laid out so you can make sure that, to convince us that it works. And if it doesn't work, then small adjustments have to be made somehow.
We've been through that, but understand that this whole area right through here has got pavement on it right now, and I actually have less pavement than originally what it had. And if you look at the overall area, everything is paved everywhere. It's just that corner of the town is buildings and pavement.
So this is currently paved right now?
Yeah, yeah, the building, I don't have that building.
That's okay.
It's okay, we believe you.
Somebody pulled off the porch, and it looks like somebody pulled off the porch, to be honest
Right,
with you.
right.
This
Okay.
is not a pretty building. This is going to be an improvement for that site easily.
Okay.
Do you want to hear from the public?
Well, actually, if you guys have anything first, and then you and Bob and Steve.
You guys are, first in our minds
Ladies first.
often.
Sure. I have my same comments that have been here previously. They received a variance. It needs to be noted on the plan.
It's on the plan. Yes, it says that. Yeah.
Where none is required in the zoning conformance table with the setbacks, the citation from the code section should be included, so it's easy to follow. Information regarding refuse disposal and outdoor lighting. Tonight you said it would be garbage cans.
The garages, yes.
Okay, well, we need a note on the plan.
That's fine.
We need lighting details on the
That's
plan.
easy.
Well, the lighting details are,
We're not going to really put a lot of lighting on there.
Okay, so not really a lot of lighting.
But how exactly does that work for anybody that lives on the other side?
We're going to have down lighting, and it's right in the middle of town.
See, there's an interesting.
You have to have down lighting. It's the rule of the town.
right, but we also want to make sure that there's no spillage off the site.
Well, yeah, but we're going to just put it by the doors. We're not going to be putting lighting and
Okay.
big lights.
Right,
all over.
again, and again, notes on the plan that say there shall be no lighting other than that adhered to the building.
Glad to put-
I mean, these are all notes that need to be included.
Yes.
And then my comment about the recreation fees, that,
That's fine too. He has no problem with fees. I've discussed that, and there's no problem there.
Okay. Anything else?
that's all.
Okay. Bob, you got some comments?
Basically, stormwater comments.
Yep.
Same comments I had last time, pretty much. With basically maps and some technical items that should be shown on the plans. ST3 with the subcatchment areas, I mean, should be a little bit more clear, Michael, on exactly the areas that were grassed prior to. I
You will
couldn't
have a map that
make
will
heads
show
or
all
tails
that,
out of
yeah.
it on the plans.
You asked for it, you will have.
ST5, I'm gonna let Jennifer speak on this a little bit more. I don't know, my opinion of it is just my opinion only. With the piping, evidently it's been going there many years. I don't know where it goes. I don't know the condition of the pipe, but evidently, according to Michael, it's been working all these years. I'll defer to Jennifer on that. Whether we need an easement, we don't need an easement, just have it shown. Maybe it's based on use, I don't know. Jennifer can speak on that better than I can. I was concerned about the piping with the flow, so I don't know if you did any of that, or you plan on doing that.
We
That's
will do
something.
everything that you were asking for, we will provide.
ST8 maintenance, obviously we need stormwater maintenance. ST9, 10, 11 are pretty much technicalities. G1, it's important for the town to know what the flows are, because I know the Westchester County Planning always likes to make certain if there's any increase in flows, like we do a 3-to-1 ratio.
Sewage, yes,
So
absolutely.
G1, that's critical. G2 is just a standard sewer connection permit from DPW. G3, water tapping connection. You'll need a New York State DOT permit as well. And then you'll have to prepare the estimates to come up with the 3% inspection fee and also the bonding. And I believe most of this stuff been put in the resolution already.
Bob, I have a question about ST7.
ST7?
Right. Demonstrate that downstream drainage system can safely convey the increased flow and to inspect the pipe via a TV, a feed. So what happens if it turns out that it can't handle the increased flow? Is there any other option in that area?
Well, I'm sure it can, but I'd just like to be safe as an engineer. I'd like to
Okay.
make certain the piping is in good
So you're not really
working order.
concerned that that's not going
Right,
to
I'm
prove
not,
out?
it's not a big concern, but I'd just like to make certain that it is at least confirmed.
Well, I would suggest that there's a pipe there.
Thanks, Mike.
Its condition is unknown. So therefore, what it can transmit is unknown.
No.
And so, while it's there, and if there are bad conditions, then something is going to have to be worked out so those conditions are ameliorated to the right level, which could take time because it's on someone else's property. And so there's where the easement is, which I think is one of the key things of this whole thing. And you've done with the easement. You have it already, right?
Well, what it really comes down, there's implied easement because the pipe is there. It exists. But the
I
problem
defer
is,
to
and it's on the
legal
map.
matter.
Jennifer, it's going to be your turn now.
Yeah, but there's even, it's on the map. But the problem is now, in order to get an easement from the guy who lives behind this thing or owns the building, is he has to say, yeah, I'll give you an easement. If he doesn't say, yeah, I'll give you an easement, he can say there's an implied easement because it's there, and I'm not worried about it. So.
Well,
you
we
don't-
are.
Yeah, but you don't have a choice.
Yes, we do.
It's his call. And he's not in front of you guys. I am. And I don't have a right to turn to the man and say, no, you will give me an easement. I mean, I can
When you
can go on an implied easement and just say,
It's
it's there.
What do you think on this, Jennifer? If you
Yeah, I think
could help
based
us?
on the information we know currently, my recommendation is that we need some kind of authorization from that property owner that this subject property owner can discharge into that other property. I think if we have more information about what's on that neighboring property and the history of the discharge there, maybe the determination will be otherwise. But right now, based upon the facts that we know currently,
There is
I
a
would
discharge there
recommend
now,
there to
meaning
be
the water is
an
flowing.
easement, or at the very least, some kind of license agreement to allow for this
okay,
property
so a
owner to
license agreement instead of an easement.
yeah, I mean, we
I
would
think
need
that's
to review
perfectly
the.
reasonable.
And the conditions in the draft resolution specifically allow for that flexibility for an easement or some other documentation, subject to the town council's review and approval.
Can I go back to questions at the end of the dais? So let's say we do the TV inspection. We find out that this pipe cannot handle a 100-year storm. So does that mean they have to do it on their own site, deal with the water?
The whole reason I'd like to have the analysis and the TV inspection is to see if it can handle the flow and the type of condition. I mean, obviously, if the condition's in no good shape, you have to replace it. But before we replace it, you want to make sure how you replace it is going to handle the flow. So, I mean, those go hand in hand. So, I
And
mean,
to
if they have to replace the
he
pipe,
needs, the applicant needs permission to go into the other guy's property to do
that
it?
would be the worst case scenario, yes.
Okay.
But just
Okay.
so you keep in mind, if the pipe is flowing at a certain rate now, and you turn around and you put a brand new pipe in there, and now it flows at a greater rate, you have to worry that you're flooding the guy out downstream. He's so used to that slowing it down and making it less. Now you go and you fix it and you replace it. Now it's coming down like gangbusters, and the guy goes, "What's happening? Why is there a flood in the
That
yard?"
doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm
that's
having.
what you have to watch out for. You can't just replace the pipe. It doesn't work that way.
Michael, do we know what type of pipe it is?
No, I can't.
So you're telling me that there's a possibility that the 6-inch pipe is partially clogged,
It may-
and that stops the flow, and it then becomes, is it perforated so it like seeps out into the
No,
ground?
it doesn't. But if
Does
it's-
it back up?
It would back
Well,
up.
it would back up, and therefore it would be
Do we
useless.
have
So
records of it
your-
backing up?
Your point doesn't make any sense to me.
But
It's just hyperbole.
Okay. You can look at it any way you want to, but
No,
it's
I'm looking at it the way I was trained to look
Yeah,
at it.
it's the same way if you put a pipe under your driveway at the bottom. If you make it bigger and you allow the flow.
We didn't say make it bigger. You added that just now.
Yeah, I know, but if you have a crushed pipe, you're making it bigger when you replace it, so it becomes larger. Now you've increased the flow, it's going down faster. Same way.
If you have a crushed pipe that still allows some flow, you're lucky. Because the next thing that the thing that crushed it the first time, if it happens again, you're going to have nothing.
Yeah, you did, yes, and then you have to fix it. But you.
Yeah, but you don't have permission to fix it.
Well, then you can't, I don't know any way you want to think of it.
Actually,
but
I recall a discussion.
You have a hard time asking somebody to fix something or to give you rights to come into a property if they don't want to. If it fails and you say, I have to come down and fix it, he's either going to let you or there's going to be a bad spot in his yard that's going to burst out with water eventually.
And who's going to be responsible for that?
Then.
You.
Yeah, the person who owns the property is going to be responsible for fixing that.
I don't see how we can go
Well,
forward with that.
the other issue is not just you. I would also suggest the town would be, because the town would be accused of not doing their due diligence on the
sure.
application.
If we approve it,
So this is what
without that,
we're
they come
trying
back
to,
and
yeah,
say,
exactly.
why'd you let that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll tell you what, we want the thing inspected, and if it turns out that it's a partially crushed pipe, we're gonna have to reconvene to do the whole thing and think it out more. But, to your hypothesis that, oh gee, if you fix the pipe, it might make the water go out faster, well, then that means the analysis has to be continued down a few more 100 feet until it gets to a big main where it doesn't matter. And so your hypothesis that it's going to be a nice fountain is to me, it's bad thinking.
The and it's the only way to think. It's the same reason I can't just go and change pipes under driveways that are going down the street, because that driveway, the water has backed up behind, and the guy down the road has said, hey, I'm fine, my pipe works. And then all of a sudden you fix your pipe, and he has a failure that goes over his driveway.
Michael,
What?
I have a question for you. Did you ever even approach the people where
That's
we
not
have
for me to
plans?
do,
Well,
that's
let
for
me
the owner
finish.
to.
Let me
He
finish.
has approached him, and they said no.
They have no records of any easement,
They don't have.
even though their plans
Oh.
show a pipe
Yeah.
going on the property.
It
It's
shows
kind
an
of
easement.
odd.
I'll tell him to go and talk to the gentleman again, whoever the gentleman is, and ask again.
But the property is currently discharging to the neighbor's property?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And for how long?
Forever, from what I know.
Forever, 1,000 years,
Yeah, it's been there.
150
Ethan
years.
was there,
50 years, 20 years.
no idea when it started. The pipe's been there probably for a very long time. I have
Okay, so you mean there are no drawings as to when the original building was built?
That was all.
Isn't there a site plan, Michael,
Yeah,
that
we
shows
have
that
something that
pipe
actually shows an
going
easement.
from their property?
It shows an easement for what?
For
Doesn't,
that pipe.
it does. But it's just on a map.
It's on a map. It doesn't mean it was ever filed. It was just a little drawing where they put a little box around it. What they did in those days all the time.
On a
And
site
nobody
plan or on
followed it up.
a subdivision?
Site plan.
Well, what does that mean? Anything?
Well, if it was on a subdivision and it was filed in the county clerk's office, then that's a recorded easement.
So have you checked the county office?
It's not a filed map. It was just an existing lot that they built the
Right.
building on.
Mm-hmm.
But was there some other document filed in the county clerk's office?
Not that I
Not the
know
map, but a separate,
No.
like, written easement agreement?
Nothing that I know of. If you looked at this thing, you would think, no way. Because it's just literally a box, no
Does
points and bounds
the-
around it, nothing.
Has the owner looked at his title work from when he purchased the property?
I will direct my client to do just the same and find out. Again, I'll say, go find out.
And you may want to ask the title company to also do a search of the neighboring property as well. Sometimes the
Well,
easements
he
pop
has
up
to do
on
his due
one property
diligence,
but
yeah.
not the other.
And that would be part of what he has to do.
Yep, yep. Good idea to look at
We just
both
need a little bit more information.
when you look at them together. Did you have any issues with Steve's memo? You said you're okay with all his comments?
All his
I
items
just have a couple of comments that
Sure.
the more I've been thinking about the site is I'm concerned because it's, we've put so much emphasis on a new streetscape for downtown Chappaqua. We, looked at 91 Bedford, we required a lot, and, this given property, the landscaping that was put on, I don't think a lot of thought was placed in terms of the species or location, and I think there's an opportunity to look at how to create more of a green buffer. The space is limited, but I think there could be some creative solutions. It may even require, taking some of the asphalt up in areas, to create more
Box planting
more
or something like that.
opportunities. You could use box plantings, other, type of things to create more, to soften the visual
In here,
impact
Steve, on the front?
on the side of the property and
On the side.
front.
Yeah, because here's the street, so you can see this, you know?
bushes down that side at the beginning.
Well, they
already.
show a hedge, but I
Is there
don't
any
know what
grass
kind
on
of
the
conditions.
site?
Pardon me?
Is there any grass on the site? I
I
couldn't
don't,
find
I don't
any.
think so.
So
And
what is the purpose of this macadam here?
That's not macadam, that's just more, that now is going to, there's a hedge at the beginning, and then as you go towards the end, there's no hedge. But I think what we're going to do is continue a hedge of.
But I think there's
So a
lot of-
hedge would go
there's a lot of
from
pavement
here it
along
is right now, and you bring it up here, is that what I just heard?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just extend it down so it's a hedge all the way down. And in the back, we have arborvitaes that are tall.
Can we ask for a landscaping plan?
I-
I would
That's
like
what I'm
to see a
asking is for,
landscaping plan the next time
Well,
you're
we-
here.
We put plants on it.
If you're calling this a landscaping plan, I don't call this a landscaping
Well,
plan.
I'm gonna,
I'd like to recommend that there be a landscape plan done by a landscape architect or designer, and then put a planting plan and list, which we typically require on a site plan, so that in the future, we have something to refer back to, and, that it's a complete record.
And also consistent with, the town
what we're
plan in
doing.
terms of
And
planting.
I think there's a lot that could be done in terms of improving the curb appeal and and softening the visual
that's
impact.
grass,
This is all grass?
that's grass.
I thought we were talking before, someone told me it
Okay,
was macadam.
macadam,
Yeah,
10
you
seconds
macadam
ago.
now.
Macadam.
What?
It's a macadam now.
That's what I'm asking.
It's gonna be turned into grass.
But it's
Well,
macadam now.
But
Yeah,
it's not,
macadam.
that's
Is this
not
macadam
indicated
also
anywhere
this
that
whole
it's gonna be
road?
converted.
No, that road going up there is sort of like a footpath. It's,
Okay. But is it this triangle inside that's
yeah, actually,
macadam?
it's square, it comes out, goes right to the property on this side.
So you're
It goes all the way-
are you
we're
gonna take
taking
that
out-
macadam up?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So
will that
so
function like a little
that's why a
backyard?
Adam here?
landscape plan would be helpful.
Is macadam here?
That's grass also, or that can be grass. This is, macadam is the lake park. for the lake.
Right, turn around, et cetera, the hammerhead, so you can get out, okay.
You had
Well, I
nothing
mean, I think to Greg's point, say that, you know, you're thinking of turning to grass. I mean, I think some of these issues that Greg is asking for is something that we should see just to have it as part of the plan.
I have another question. The street has a storm sewer, right?
Yeah, it has to.
Okay. And since there are steps going up here,
Oh, him microphone.
huh?
Him microphone.
Oh, him microphone, yes. So,
Where did you point to steps? These right here?
In front.
yeah, there's steps,
That
right?
goes to a wooden deck.
Huh?
That's a wooden deck going back here.
Oh, a wooden deck above.
And there's a
Okay.
wooden deck.
So where's the street elevation is higher than this building?
Land-wise, it slowly goes down towards the back. If you look at my site plan, which we can
Connect in front?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a reason why not. But.
you'll see that the grade is not too severe at all going back. But then it drops off greatly right here. There's a retaining wall existing off the property right here. We were going to put arborvitae's through here, and then these were going to be Japanese maples, but we're going to switch over based on the suggestion to juniper of some sort. And instead of 2 red buds out here, we're going to do 3, but I'm going to talk to my client about bringing in a landscape architect. to
Okay,
do it a little further.
thank you. Why can't you take, you're going to have bathrooms up here, a kitchen, and same thing here. And this is all on a level grade, right?
That's 1 floor, yes, it doesn't step down, no.
Huh?
It does not step down.
Okay, good. So it's 1 floor, so you could go under the floor. Why can't you reach the storm sewer out here?
With the drainage
Yeah.
going backwards,
Well,
don't
if
know.
it goes backwards, it's a problem, but, because it doesn't go uphill very easily.
No, Richard, I
This
was
is
just gonna
capital,
say,
it does.
if it's so Michael, if it's so problematic to get an easement, or we don't know where the pipe is, you don't wanna look at the pipe, why can't you get a storage tank, a holding tank, and pump it up to the drainage in King Street?
Actually, the way things are going right now, I would like to just abandon that pipe and maybe do something like that. We could come up with that.
I mean, you really don't ideally like to pump the drainage, but if there's no other recourse,
And you might not have it without an easement.
that's correct, and the people might say no to it as well, so.
Yep.
Then you have nothing, so you might wanna look into pumping it up to a catch basin in the state
Absolutely
road.
fine.
And that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because your sanitary's going out to the lines.
But the sanitary is very low, and it makes it, well, it's low here, but those catch basins, we'll look into it. We'll find out what the depth of the catch basins are along that side. If there must be some. I can't believe there isn't, because that's such a hill.
You can
So
pump
there
it up
has
to a holding tank or a manhole on your property and then have it go by gravity down to the catch
Downhill.
basin. Mhm. We were
Yeah,
thinking
if-
about
if
doing
that's
that on,
possible, I will do it. Gravity's always better, but if I have to use a pump, I'll put a pump in. Plus, they can, not to get too weird, but they could use that water to water plants and everything else without going and taking water from other places. It's a way of getting water, which is,
and that pump wouldn't be used that much because it's only gonna be for the overflow.
yeah, it is only the overflow.
You could set it up that way.
Yeah, because you could, the roof drainage is not a problem. That all could be directed that way.
We have to utilize the infiltrators, so they have to go back that way to come to an
No, you
area.
just can't connect directly to the,
Yeah,
it's gotta go into the infiltration.
Even from roofs?
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I could see the ground level with oil and
It
everything.
bypasses all the infiltration and it's just creates more flooding.
All right.
That's why they make us do the drainage that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you may end up saying, well, gee, maybe I could build up here and catch the drainage here. Take a look at it. I'm not going to design it here, but it saves a lot of things. And then, hey, the other thing is a backup line or something. I don't know. But
Well, no, if we're going to abandon that other line, we'll
Abandon.
just abandon it.
That's even
Say,
better.
But it could give you a viable alternative from this easement situation that could be a real problem for you.
I'm all for it. I'm
Yeah,
all for
yeah.
it, because it's turning into a bit of a McGilla, so I'm all, absolutely.
It's a do loop. You can't do this before that, but you can't do that before this.
Yeah, I'd rather see if I can pump it up forward and just, end this whole question mark.
Yeah, yeah.
I always used to delegate those problems to someone smarter than I was, so.
Of course, you need the state's,
Nobody's smarter than you.
need the state's permission to tie
Oh,
into
there are
it.
many, many.
Scares you
Most
to
of it deceased by now.
Anyway, do we have comments from the public, though, or questions from the public? Come on up.
To the microphone.
Norman Hirsch, 149 King Street, Unit 2.
Where are you located?
Next property north.
Okay, so you're
Up.
on
It's
top,
actually,
so you're here.
North.
Which way is north on this
Well,
thing?
it's
Over
not really
here?
It's actually
north.
east.
It's not really north, it's east.
It's east.
East.
Okay, so it's up here.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Unfortunately, we didn't hear about this development earlier, but when we found out about it, we showed up. And we certainly aren't against having the building that's there now gone, especially if the new one is nicer. We did have some concern that the building is closer to the street than the existing building. The existing building is set back about maybe 20, 25 feet, and the new one's 10. 149 King Street is back about 30, and the dentist's office is also back about 20, 25. So it does stick out further than the two adjacent buildings. Not to...
You want a pointer? Is that what you're looking for? Press the little button.
Not to create a new problem, but they are going to repave King Street, and the sidewalks and curbs is happening very shortly. So if they're going to rip it up to get a sewer in, they'll have fun on that. But right now, there is a set of trees along here,
Great.
which we were never quite sure whose they were. But right,
now, where the property is,
You need to speak into the microphone, Michael.
I'm sorry, the actual driveway actually pushes over onto your land, and it actually gets out and comes back, I guess where a dumpster was at one time, I don't know. But that's gone, I've taken that away, so.
okay. So I guess the trees are ours.
Congratulations.
We'll end up talking to you about getting rid of the dead one.
Send a picture to that man there.
John, did you want to add anything
I just
else?
have a question.
You gotta speak up on
Please
the mic.
come to the microphone.
Is it market rental property?
Yes, it's gonna be
It's
rented.
market rental property, it's not low-income housing?
No.
Okay.
Not big enough.
What kind of structure, or what does it look like? I mean, I see a drawing here, but is it clapboard, is it brick, is it?
Here.
No, it's fine.
Get two from you.
Let's see if I can get it up to this.
Well, Michael wasn't able to get up on the screen, but here.
Now, there you go. There's the inside.
I just
Well,
want
we have exterior, too.
Yes?
Exterior.
We have elevations.
There we go. There you go.
There it is.
we go.
It's up on
John,
the board.
Looks nice, actually. The drawing did show, the site plan showed a height of 35 feet. So how it, but
That's
it-
max.
it's not really that much?
It's a-
35 feet is measured from the ground up
called
to
me.
the
He said, "Tell me
center,
if I'm
to about
wrong."
the center of the roof
He
line.
said he wanted
So
to-
it's not the very tippity top, it's actually the center of the roof line.
He said,
So it's gonna, there you go.
Yeah, right about there.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Said you're not getting anywhere.
So how is that
So
35 feet if the
30
first
feet is
floor is
right-
at grade?
35 feet is right across here, halfway point on this roof. So, yeah, to the crown, it'll be another 4 feet, probably.
I don't quite see how you get that if
That's really,
That's in accordance with the code. That's the building code.
okay, I didn't know that, okay, but however, it really is an eyesore to our units.
This is an eyesore.
no.
It's an well, the height of it, it's an obstruction as far as the view goes from unit number 4, number 1. Okay, it's gonna block the whole view from unit number 1, which is,
Is it really 30?
Time out for a second.
Hold on
Mike,
one
can I ask Michael a question?
If this is,
That ridge line's not at 30, you're not at 35 feet halfway up the roof, are you?
I didn't design the house, but that is the requirement of the house is that you're at, no, probably not.
Yeah.
Considering that.
Without dimensions on that, I'm guessing that the floor to floor is about 9 to 10 feet
Halfway up
on
the
each
roof.
thing. So maybe the mid-roof line's about 25 feet to 27 feet, I'm guessing, based on,
Well, let's not guess.
roof of 30
the
feet.
top of the roof could be in the low 30s. Yeah.
30.
So it's not 35.
I
Well,
don't believe so, just based
We
on
need measurements before
standard.
we can say
Clarification
that.
on
Yeah, but there's height restrictions in the code.
Yeah, as per
Yeah.
the code, it goes from the
Building
existing grade.
inspector will verify that the height it meets with the code requirements.
Okay, so there's nothing we can do about it?
No.
As long as it meets code?
If it meets code, it meets code. If it doesn't meet code, he's redesigning.
Okay, so we need to figure out whether it meets code, right? Well, it's basically,
Yeah, we won't know that until he applies for a building permit.
And then this goes to the ARB, there's
Yeah.
a whole
Oh, yeah,
process.
I mean, was this advertised in the beginning, this whole process?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, quite honestly, we never got, no, well, okay, we just found out that
And it's been around for years.
request this notification, it wasn't sent out to us.
Can you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry.
We had to request this notification. It literally was not sent out to us without a request, and I don't recall getting an original request, original notification.
so the
Can I get
notification-
a copy of the original notification?
You can get copies of whichever documents you would like, but for your information, the information is sent to the property owner, which is your homeowners association.
I'm a property owner.
I understand,
We're all
but it's sent to
property
the
owners.
main address for you, that's on file for your association.
HOA, not to individual unit owners.
Correct.
Each owner pays their own taxes. I get a tax bill.
That's great, but the owner is the HOA. So whoever your president is, who heads up the HOA.
Who checks
should
the
have
mail.
received it. At the time. This has been around for years, so it's
Yes.
not just, when did you start this, Michael? 15?
October 20th, 2015. Here's a list of all the dates that he's before the board already. You can go to that address on the website and look at all the different things.
Maybe Dan got it, okay. So anyway, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. Obviously, it's far along in the process, but I will say that it's gonna block the view of at least one of our units dramatically. It's gonna be an eyesore to them, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's a fait accompli, right?
Not a fait accompli yet, because it isn't approved, but it's, we're stuck with the code.
Well, okay, so is there code addressing the distance from the sidewalk to the front of the unit?
Yes.
So that's within code too then?
Yes.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Had we known about the project earlier, we might have objected to the zoning variance on the side, or maybe bargain something on that.
It was on
but
the
we
driveway.
didn't.
It was on the side of the driveway. Because what happened, what actually happened is the driveway should have been, under our code, significantly wider, I think double.
Yes.
So it would have had more impact on you folks. It would have been much more of an eyesore. So what happened was we narrowed the driveway. We felt it wasn't necessary to have it that wide. It would look like a giant parking lot the whole length of the house along your property.
Well, it would only have allowed him to build a much smaller house.
Not necessarily. Cantilever over it. I mean, there's all different ways of doing that. It's all kinds of design issues.
All right. At least it looks like it looks pretty, but it is large.
Well, thank you for that. I think that you could send to these gentlemen what the height of the building is.
Yeah, they're tied to, I can find that out, I guess, but they're tied to the code.
That's right, but it would be useful information because we're not sure if it's 35 to the midpoint of the roof or 28.
Yeah, I will find out. I'll tell him to go and direct the architect to come out with that number.
Yeah, and get their addresses and send it off, if you'd be so kind, and a copy to Janice.
Yeah.
And, so that she has the record. Thank you very much. I did a rough thing. I get 28 to the midpoint of the roof.
Yeah, I don't know if the floor to floor, if they're doing 8-foot studs with 1 foot of construction, or or they're doing a 9-foot ceiling.
I found a dimension.
Oh, you found a dimension?
Yeah, see the 3.5 by the, for the pylons or
Oh yeah, there's a dimension there.
Just did that up there, and I don't know how accurate it is because
Oh, they did that
I did it
for-
with my thumb.
Gotcha.
So it's a rough number.
Okay. So, I don't think we're quite there. So, what we could do to, it's been around a long time. Again, give you the same offer to get your work done, and if we can get all this stuff ready, we could try to have something ready for you on September 5 if you have all the materials in, checked, reviewed.
Can we close or go towards closing the public hearing?
I wouldn't do
on
that right now.
31st?
Yeah.
In favor of that either.
You know,
Because,
you're not really accomplishing anything because we can close it and do the resolution the same night. I mean, it's fast,
and if we don't like something that happens, we can reopen it.
you know, or keep it open. So you're going to look into the drainage issue or the easement issue, vice versa, whichever way we see on this. Come back with some planting information, lighting information, mechanical information. I mean, we can, maybe the staff can help you on this, but what we really look for on the air conditioners is the decibel levels at your property line. They can be considerable. So
If they put in the contractor version or
exactly,
people version.
exactly.
Yeah. The other thing we'd like to, is now, are the trees that are on the boundary, are they deciduous or evergreen, or what are they? Deciduous?
They're evergreen, but I don't believe that they're pines. They're there now.
Okay, so a mix maybe. Okay, so you got some maple, yeah.
I would
Okay, so-
recommend that the landscape architect identify all existing trees around the border.
That would
So
be nice.
to
And
help
also
them
the
design
height
it.
of those trees.
Height, yeah.
In condition.
Yeah, and
Condition
condition.
and height, rough height.
So that, and it will have, again, clearly indicate what's going to be torn up in terms of macadam, what's going to be lawn, and then I think we can get there.
So on the mechanicals, we'll also need information about the noise generation. So
Yes.
And then what that noise level is at the property line.
Absolutely.
So those are, we'll need all of that too.
Which is almost where it's going to be located,
Yeah.
at the property line, so it's almost the same.
So
The peak decibel level that we're looking for from the air conditioning units.
Well, it's
do
a,
you know?
well, it's a residential.
It's in the code.
It's in the code.
It's in the code, but it's usually, what, in the 50s, 50 to 60?
I don't want to misquote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
The 19 units next door probably will have air conditioners.
Yep.
But the code may have changed since then.
Yep.
Since the 149 was built.
Not likely.
Was there anything else that we missed, that we spoke about?
Couple
I
of,
don't think so. I think we got it.
couple other things. What color is it gonna be?
I don't know, we don't get into the color, that will be ARB.
It's ARB.
Bright pink or yellow?
That'll stand out more. Is it gonna be consistent with the color of our units or?
Probably, your units are beautifully colored, and
Right.
this would go, that kind of shade would be proper for it,
Okay.
The same everybody else has, as
How,
you go down the road.
okay, how high is the fence gonna be on the northern side that borders our property? It says 4 feet. Is that code? Is that,
Which fence is this on
it's
the,
all optional. There's a lot of options there.
okay. There's, if you pull out the other drawing, on the northernmost side, no,
Eastern side.
Eastern side, there's gonna be a fence on the property. It says a 4-foot fence.
Okay.
I'm just curious, is that code? But
Safety
as you said, it's
fence on the back
discretion.
of the retaining wall?
They will.
No.
No, we're not, there's not a retaining wall on our property.
No, there's a,
No,
there's a retaining wall.
and he's
that's-
are you
So
putting a
there's
fence
a
up?
maximum height.
Retaining wall on the other side.
There is a fence that goes around the back. It's not in the best repair, they're gonna have to fix it up.
It says-
This is a brand new unit, of course they're gonna make it.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
just one
who's gonna
person at
fix
a
it up?
time.
Let me read this. Can I just read this?
It's on our property, us.
Okay, so,
Maybe on the back property, and then it's not our fence.
yeah, so one of the things, with the existing vegetation, we want to make sure that when the cars back out, there's not the light spillage is kind of blocked with the fencing and everything like that.
No, it shouldn't.
I know, but it depends. If,
Back into the garage, yeah.
yes, right, thank you.
Right. Because just,
A sign that says "Do not back into the garage" isn't going to work.
Yes.
Thank you.
because currently it says there's going to be a silt fence there.
That's temporary for
temporary
construction.
during-
Fine,
construction.
let me finish. To be removed upon stabilization of grounds. Silt fence is to be replaced with a 4-foot stockade fence.
Yeah, right now there's a fence around that side anyway, so, and a 4-foot fence will go around, because we don't need to close off the back, but we do need to keep people from falling off that wall in the back, so We have to
Right,
replace
so-
the wall, and it's ours to replace that
Well, that's
fence.
the retaining
Uh,
wall.
So to Rich's point, will
It's
that be
not,
enough
but it's
to
a,
block
it's not a
lighting,
stone
cars
fence.
coming in
It's a
later
fence
at
on
night?
top
I don't
of
know
a.
about
From the
you.
unit
of-
next to
Of
it,
the
from the
wall.
unit.
And that's
So it
fine.
doesn't
Yeah, I
drop
don't know how
off
many
the
lights
back.
it
That's
can
the
go for.
4 feet.
Okay, so then it's
You know,
required.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute, let's, just a clarification here.
The fence that you're proposing is gonna go on top of the wall that's at the back of the property so that
There's
people
one
don't
there.
fall off the back of the
There-
property?
There is one there now. You know,
Right.
we
So-
can't leave that.
Is it safety fencing? Or is
If you have a drop of more than
30 inches.
30 inches, you need a fence.
guardrail.
So that's a
Right.
requirement.
Yeah, there's no traffic down there to worry about with the car, but the people traffic, if they go around the back
That's
of the
right.
house, we want to keep them from falling down there. And so the fence belongs here, but the question now, of course, is does the fence belong to us or to the people in the back? Did they put it up above the wall or what? We don't know, I'm sorry.
Then that's an issue that has to be explored also.
Also, yeah, you need to sort that out at some point because.
We can't
you know,
have two
the-
fences.
If you own the stone wall,
We don't own the wall. The retaining wall is off of us.
So
well,
then the,
I don't
And
know
you
if-
don't
so
own
then
the-
the
then you
the
don't
fence
own the
either has to
fence.
go inside the wall or it may.
well,
we might
no,
be
if
able
it's,
to-
if the bluff is on the other property, I don't know whose responsibility it is.
Well, it's not their,
Not his.
it's not their
Fence on your
responsibility. They just need to
off-site.
put up a
Put up a
fence.
fence on your property.
Yeah,
But
so
then we'd have two
Someone can't
fences.
get to the wall.
unless you put a fence on your own property.
Then we'd have two fences.
Well, then talk to your neighbor about putting a fence on their wall.
Yeah.
yeah, we
Seen
don't,
that. Yeah.
okay, so there's another issue. But where you don't have the bluff to the left and you just have the neighboring property,
Yes.
then we would recommend that there be, a fence, that blocks the light spillage from in and out of the parking area. It doesn't have to be the whole length, in my estimation. And 4 foot would be good. 3 feet would probably work too.
Yeah, 4 feet is.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, good. So
Okay.
we got that one too. All right, so there's stuff to do.
But it can't be the same stockade fencing that they're talking about putting in the back for safety. It has to be something that's more solid fencing that'll
Oh,
block the light.
I thought a stockade fence is pretty solid.
Isn't
In fact, it's-
stockade the pillars with the two
No,
crosses?
it's split rail. That's
Oh,
split
I'm
rail.
sorry,
Stockade solid,
Yeah.
with
Okay. I got
And there's the
confused.
split rail that goes like this,
Yeah.
the old-fashioned one where.
Okay, I
Okay.
just got confused, yeah.
I hope we got it all recorded for
Fences
you.
make good
I
neighbors.
hope so. Now, we're for a public hearing, we're on for September 5th if something
No,
happens.
most likely October 2nd. Folks, you dedicated your September
Yep,
5th
yep,
meeting to a
yep.
different project.
Thank you for correcting me. And we have a lot of work to do. That's why we have just
Yeah,
that
no,
one. There's a
that's
ton of
why-
work.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to
Ton,
do.
on Chapel Crossing, yep. So October 2nd. Okay?
Okay.
So we will continue the public hearing then.
I'm getting hungry, so I'm glad we have this last
Okay.
project here.
Okay, we move now to an informal hearing for a new application. This is Ruben Yao. Application for a subdivision amendment for lot line amendment approval and waiver of jurisdiction, 66 Lawrence Farms Crossway and 76 Cary Lane. Okay, guys, outside.
Guys, can you go outside in the
Outside,
hall,
please.
please?
Yep.
Good night.
Oh, you're here for this one too? Wow. That's what you train for, you know.
I had 2 lunches today.
I'm hungry too. Getting cranky.
Don't do that.
What? Yes.
This neighbor selling land to the other neighbor so they can get a backyard setback that conforms?
Well, no, that's not what they're doing. I think they're doing it because they've always had backyard that went there. And what happened?
All right, let's just
You-
move forward on the application.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
Please, Michael, focus.
focus.
Well, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no stories. Okay, this is straightforward, no new buildings, no new anything. They're not doing anything. We don't have to move the clearing grading line. We have shown it on the plan, not that one, but I have it. And we actually have shown the easement. We said easement on the easement, and we showed the water main going down it. We've done everything that we were supposed to do. And there's nothing, I'm gonna check all the numbers because there was question about the numbers and the areas and the volumes and this. I'll check it all and make sure it's all perfect and change it, the maps appropriately. And I'll talk to the surveyor who has created a plat for this, and we'll get everything the way it should be. And we have no problem with this at all. This is straightforward. There's, like I said, there's no new anything going on. They're not taking any trees down. They're going to put a fence back. The line was very different looking when we first brought it to the town to show them, and it was suggested that we make it a more of a straight line rather than curve it all over the place. But we didn't take that much more area at all. We just sort of straightened it all out. and said,
What's the reason for doing this?
That's because their yard has always been over there. Long story short, if I can, what happened was Gardner, who owned the other property at the time, he didn't even know the fence was down there.
Right.
Okay. And he came along and he was selling his property and he didn't want anything to go wrong. So without talking to anybody, he just ran down there and cut all the fences off. Just took them all out. And of course, they went crazy. Now Gardner's not there anymore. And Yao was there, and Yao has said, oh yeah, I'll sell you this land, it'll work out fine. And that's what they're doing right now.
But, okay, in my opinion, one of the things that we're supposed to do as planners, and one of the things that's in our town code is when there's a subdivision, is you don't create something with irregular lot lines.
It was irregular.
That's about as irregular as you could come up with.
We straightened
This
it
looks like a
out. We
Pez
had-
dispenser
It was
now.
irregular. We followed the fence line, and now we're not following the
It
fence line.
does, you're right.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is absurd.
so, other than the aesthetic of it being irregular, there's
Well, I don't
also,
think that's an aesthetic. I mean, I
Well-
think that's, it's an important part of a planning. It's one of the.
no,
basic-
it's not just an aesthetic. That area that has now been reduced, this area,
The pinch?
this area in here can no longer be counted towards the developable lot area, the minimum requirements for a lot, because it's less than 200 feet. If you measure from here to here, it's approximately 200 feet wide. That is the minimum distance of the lot that can count towards the area necessary to locate a house, the minimum size lot.
But how could they locate a house? It would be a flag lot. We would never
So
do that.
they cannot. The only house that can ever be located on this lot is this house, the existing house. But as part of the planning protocol, you check to make sure that you're not reducing the minimum required lot area in order to support this one home. They will never get a second home. Period. Even before this lot line change, there was never
Right.
the opportunity for a second home. The only reason that this does not have an impact on the minimum required lot area is because they do have all of this acreage. But this area has to be discounted from the allowable minimum lot area.
When they laid out the subdivision, any reason why they made that lot that shape?
I can only so right now this action, while he says it's nothing, it's because they wanted to do it. It will cure a non-conforming setback
Where?
That guy,
on this lot.
he doesn't have 100 feet in the back.
Correct.
Does he need 100 back?
No,
whatever it
he needs a separation distance, which he currently does not meet in a rear yard setback.
From
It's
his
not a
house?
width issue.
Home
It's
to-
from the house.
Yeah, he was shy back there.
Correct.
Well, I understand that. And does he have a variance at this point for that, or
It's a pre-existing
so
non-conforming.
it's grandfathered at this point?
Correct, and it will make it conforming, which is from a planning perspective a good thing to do. As long as you're not creating any new non-conformity, and the planning board will need to determine if this is something that you're interested in entertaining.
He'll never be able to put a driveway down here. There'll never be, this is really an unusable portion of land, even when it was intact and they could count the whole thing. They can't use it for that because you can't drive down there. It's too steep.
The way this was drawn with this lot here, within the original shape, this is exactly 200 feet wide. That is the minimum width required.
Can this ever be sold down here?
No, it
and joined with
cannot.
This?
No, it cannot. Well, I mean, if they want to do another lot line change and instead bring it this way,
A road or just an adjoining property owner?
That's another property down there.
Yeah, this is not developable.
That's a wacky laid out piece of.
Yeah, that's an old lot right there. That's not a part of anything really. This is part of that subdivision. That's part of the subdivision that is called Trails End.
Oh, yeah, we're not even.
Is that the minimum that we see?
2 in the morning.
Oops, it went dead.
I like your
So-
idea.
Getting close to the end of the season.
Do we know why the property owner on the right wants to correct that insufficiency, given that he's not really where he's, although it was unusually sited, but he's not really encroaching on the other neighbor because the other neighbor is far away. Does he want to develop something in the backyard there that he needs
No,
extra
he doesn't have enough, no, the only logical reason that I can ascertain is that he's trying to cure a nonconformity. And based on what Michael is telling you, this property owner has been using this portion of this lot historically. And now they're looking to make this formal, and there's a trade-off here for here. There's two areas of adjustment, here and here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's straightening that out. Is this the minimum width that he needs to conform?
That,
At
and
this point?
it's an area that he has thought was his yard for the longest time, because he's not the first owner or the second owner or the third owner. He just came in and said, oh, that must be our yard. And all of a sudden, down came Mr. Gardner with his people, whoever they were, and they cut everything down and said, get it out of here, because he didn't want that blocking
Right, I understand.
his sale, I believe.
His rear yard setback is required to be 60 feet. He has 49.5 right now.
So, but when he adds this, it seems like it might be more than 60 altogether back here?
It's
point
definitely
is-
more than 60, but it's 60 feet from the corner of the closest
Part of the
location on the house, yes.
building. Well, my issue is whether or not it can be somehow squared off a little bit, so it doesn't have this.
I would assume that the problem with squaring it, we're gonna run into issue,
But it blocks further development.
Well, I think that would.
we may run into issues if you were to square this, okay? And I'm a big fan of square lots, just so you know, but if you were to square this one, you'd run into areas with this lot's septic system and potentially further reducing the minimum lot area required for the single-family home that exists today. So it would create much more of a problem for this lot if you were to square it.
No, I don't understand that.
So
Just let me, let's see, when you say square it, you mean cut this piece off?
no. Carry this lot line out
That
to
line.
make take more of this property.
Thank you.
And perhaps even squeeze that angle down a little bit.
Correct.
So Sabrina, if we're 11 feet off from making it conforming,
Mm-hmm.
but the new line is 100 feet from the back of the house, so.
One area, but not the closest corner, perhaps.
Well, I think it is the closest corner.
I'd have to pull out the map and measure it.
Right here, this says there's 100, this is set up 100 feet from that corner.
Okay, so from here, this is 100 feet.
Yeah, that's 100 feet, and the setback line that's there is 49.5 to the vertical line. So
Right.
if he's looking for another 11 feet,
Yeah,
why are we going so much more?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is this-
I do not know.
Is it just for the yard?
It's because it always felt like their yard. And what happened was, when Dr. Gardner cut all the fences down, it was like, what are you doing? And he cut the fences down because it was in his yard, and he didn't want that to block.
So if I may, carrying Greg's thought, is it possible to square it off to just what they need for their minimum yard setback to make it non-conforming? Well, and honestly, the planning board may want to do a site walk so that they can see the physical layout here. Because what you're saying, Michael, is that there's a definite demarcation of somebody's yard that has been there,
Or there was.
or there was.
It must still be there. I don't even know.
Right, but honestly, if this was the line of the previous fence, maybe it's possible to square it off and maybe not take so much over here, but to give the minimum setback requirement,
Right.
square it off so it doesn't make as a triangular line as a.
I would be glad to ask the owner.
I think you should go back and ask that.
Do this. This is still, I can change it, but this is still going to be a subdivision that doesn't create any additional.
Michael, I don't think that the board has any other issue with this other than this irregular lot line. And I would agree with them. This is a tough thing to swallow here. And you know, when you do a new subdivision, you have radial lines. There's usually a purpose for it, for lot frontage and other things. This is very odd. It would make more sense, and the board has done this before, where they've extended slightly, but it always has been on right angles.
Square that off?
Right angles.
Well, but that may impact the septic on the other.
It may.
Well, and again, without understanding that information, and I don't think we're not talking about squaring out right like this, if you may. If this line right now is 100 feet, it's 60 feet, so it's still non-conforming, and carrying it up with like this.
Yeah, but theoretically, you just do a line 11 feet to the left of the existing line, and then you're done.
Correct.
I don't have a problem with this actually, because it is definitely non-conforming. If we're going to fix this, then what about this cutout? That's irregular.
Yep.
But you can't fix that unless the other property owner is on board.
And that's there. I mean, but why add to it with more confusion?
It's not. I don't see why it's confusing.
Well,
Absolutely, you won't be able to tell what's going on the site.
I understand.
The house, it's
And I think that's why we're prepared to, once we figure this out, at least from my perspective, waive jurisdiction and have you go off on your way, because you have correctly pointed out there are no impacts to
Anybody.
wetlands, slopes, stormwater, anything here, trees. Nothing's going to happen physically. So we're prepared to do that. My observation, I may be, I just don't like to see that sort of thing, and I think it is important to avoid, if at all possible. And I think Greg has come up with some solutions that might make it possible.
By my client, can we come back on the 31st and finish this thing off, possibly?
I think we can do that, sure.
Yeah. Because that's all I'm doing, yeah.
Yeah,
My
yep.
comments are Monday.
So the question is, Michael, you know, if you could provide us with a response of your client in relation to squaring this off to where it makes the difference, and then providing us a revised map which addresses Bob's comments and everything else, then we can move forward, and if the board chooses, we could draft a resolution for consideration at your October 2nd meeting.
About the July 31st meeting?
Or for July
31st?
31st meeting?
Yeah.
Well, we could put it on just, if he can do all the stuff.
If you
it's
can
very-
do it all now, then July 31st, absolutely.
I can have it for the 23rd, so you'll have some time to look at it before.
Yeah, we do need time to look at it,
That's
Michael.
why the 23rd is a good date, yeah.
Okay,
All right.
All right.
Cool.
and we can have will we have time for a resolution also, assuming that we see these things? Which is going
Yeah.
for a waiver?
You already have it drafted. God bless you. All right.
Just might need to change it a little bit.
Janice is way ahead of us. We always muck it all up for her, you know.
Resolution for Janice to distribute the draft to us.
Okay, moving on.
Do we need? Yeah. Do we need to give her?
Yes, we should have a motion to
Yes,
direct
yes, a motion.
resolution.
To give us
Including
the
the waiver of
resolution she's prepared.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have an informal hearing for a new application, Taco Street Bar Kitchen,
Can I
application for a
stay?
special use
Michael.
permit
Good night, Mike.
for restaurant, 86 South Greeley Avenue. Hi. Pulling out the Dunkin' Donuts and putting in a taco. Oh, they did? Really?
No,
Really?
you said goodbye.
What, that was the
Have you noticed
situation? They
Tom
just left
hasn't
you?
been coming with Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
I think the lease was up. But
Yeah, I know. That's why he's not here.
He used to stop and get Dunkin' Donuts every time.
So we need to find out if Taco Street will
Maybe now
have
bring
coffee.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, if you go there for a full breakfast or whatever, lunch, yeah.
What?
Favorite thing.
No, we can't do free stuff.
What?
This guy be on it.
No, I don't think so. The owner is the guy who owns Beaches Station. Getcha. What?
Hello.
Yep.
Well, my name is Alejandro Molina.
You can
and
pull that out or raise it up. I don't want you to
You
hurt
can
your
actually take
back.
it with you if you want.
Yeah,
you
take
take
it,
it
snap it out of the holder, and you can walk around with.
There you go. You're rocking.
All right.
So,
Be an MC now. A DJ.
okay.
Dance, no.
I guess you guys had a copy of the drawings and you may have reviewed them. It used to be the Dunkin' Donuts, and we're gonna make a taco place. Small kitchen, not up in flame, just electric hot plates and steam tables to keep the food that is hot, and refrigeration to assemble tacos. We are proposing some seating inside below 50 people, but it's we cannot read the chart here, but it's above the 25% of the total area
It's greater.
that will allow for it to be called a carry-out. Just the areas that we have marked here in this light gray are the areas that we calculated as seating, including some 4 benches here that may be optional because this is going to be mainly the pickup counter. But with those gray areas, we have about 29% of the total floor area, which send us here for a special permit for a restaurant. I don't know if you have any questions or.
No, I think, Sabrina, you have a memo that you can.
Yeah, just to reiterate what the applicant had said, carry-out restaurant defined in the code has 25% of the gross floor area allocated to seating. Because of the changes in the floor plan and the number of seating areas and the number of seats, and as the applicant stated, they're at 29% for seatings, which makes that use more intense and does not qualify as a carryout. So in accordance with the code requirements as to whether or not they can exist without a planning board approval, they failed that one area, so it sends them to you for this. Just to give you a sense, this property is within the parking district, so all the parking around them applies. What we've done in the past is we've identified the number of spaces that would be required per the town code. 14 spaces would be required, but because they're in the parking district and pay into that district, they have use of the parking lots. There was one question regarding the outdoor seating. The applicant had told us verbally that the outdoor seating will be shared with the pizza station outdoor seating.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what he was talking about is the outdoor seating that it's, the pizza place is here, pizza station.
Yes.
And then they have this long sidewalk and he has seating there.
Correct.
So because it's the same owner, I think he's thinking that some people may sit here and they will use the taco, eat a taco there. We won't have outdoor seating here, probably not initially. He was thinking, and we were thinking it, and the architectural design looks a little bit towards if in the future there is a possibility of using this counter as an outdoor seating here with a couple of benches, then apply for a sidewalk cafe then.
Right, we have
go
a
for it.
sidewalk cafe permit.
But right now we are.
With there.
I'm sorry?
It's actually going to be changed due to the
Right.
project. There's plenty of room on that sidewalk for
So you're
that.
thinking maybe like a counter, are you,
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
looking to take out the storefront and do like a roll-up door or
Yes,
something?
yes, it is.
Correct, and
it
that's
is.
something that was discussed with the architectural review board.
Right.
I've requested that the elevations be submitted to this board because we did not have that elevation.
Correct, and we don't have them today either, but we're
Correct.
working on them.
Correct,
So
so,
we'll-
Good idea.
Was
Yeah.
the ARB okay with
We'll
the idea?
send them.
yeah, they need to show the elevations to
Yeah,
them.
I
So
think we're
they're
gonna
going back to the
submit them
ARB.
submit them to the town Thursday, so we can be here next week on the 25th
Correct.
with the elevations.
Correct,
So the idea is, this is gonna be a 3-foot door just with the main entrance, and this is a roll-down gate, glass roll-down gate. And in the future, and this is a little setback under the canopy that's there, so it's a little bit protected. And if it works out, in the future, we may have 4 or 5 stalls here for seating and have a sidewalk cafe permit.
correct.
Right now, it will be just a roll-down gate for the summertime, open it and make it more
Correct,
integrated.
and we would just want notes on the plan regarding the intention that occupants of this facility can use the existing sidewalk cafe
On
to the side of the pizza station.
Okay.
Just so it's noted on the plan. I would say, and I don't want to put words in the building inspector's mouth, but having the roll-up door and benches does not necessarily qualify as a sidewalk cafe. The sidewalk cafe has number of seat requirements, distance requirements. This is actually adhered to the building. So we'd have to review that in the sense of how it fits in, but that's a building permit review.
Is it standard to have,
Or it's a town engineer, sorry,
oh,
Yeah,
requirement.
when Frank was here, no, it's doing real short.
We don't have time for that.
Now, let me tell the story. Frank delegated it all to the building department, so the new building inspector came in and he says, why are we looking at it? You're the town engineer, so I have the
So
new
Bob's
task
not
to do.
reviewing it.
you're the roll-up,
Congratulations.
you're the roll-up door guy, huh? But is it unusual to have a permit for a sidewalk cafe where it's not directly, contiguous to the
This would
space?
be the first time, most of the time it's fine if it's not contiguous to the space, because the sidewalk permit, I don't want to speak for Bob, but it's really about adequate distance is for the sidewalk users
Function.
to circulate and for the clearance between tables. That's where the building aspect comes in.
Sounds like a lot of taco inspections, Bob.
That's right.
And
Feed
we're-
your
and we're-
inspectors.
we're-
I mean, it's New York, but
Sabrina,
be careful.
Yeah.
If he wasn't up to 29% on floor area and he was at 25%, would they still be coming in front of
No,
us?
No.
Right,
no, they have to be less than 25%.
That was a question.
It's special permit, same as restaurant.
Right, but it already had a special permit because it was a Dunkin' Donuts.
It was a carry out already.
Right, so it's about the
So-
intensity, it's a change of use for a
Was it these
to a
4
restaurant.
seats fair, for
No,
example?
a little more.
No,
We will be
no.
About 7 or 8 seats.
Okay.
So we're, we were scheduled and we're here to.
Yeah,
to
no,
really-
that we spoke about this and we talked, the town said, do you really want to, do this? You can reduce your seating, and he wants to do what he eventually wants to get to, which is why he's before you. So this is the master plan, if you will.
That aspirational.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think
We're
it's
trying.
it's a
So
good
this
use.
is-
So when you.
Yeah,
when
no,
you
it's great use.
so it's a type 2.
It's a type
We have all the
2.
information we need.
I
You
have
do.
a question.
We have to go
for
to
Mr.
public.
Molina. When you
Yes.
use hot plates for food preparation,
Sure.
do you have venting on that, or?
The kitchen has
Yeah.
windows and we will have to calculate a specific venting, but we don't have open flame, so we have a hood, but
Right.
we don't have an ANSEL system. We don't have a fire suppression system.
So what is our policy in terms of scrubbers with restaurants?
Odors.
Yeah, this will go, this,
Although if you roll up the door, you're going to have the odors come out
The
anyway.
Dunkin' Donuts used to have a, I mean,
Yeah,
it
they
has, still-
do.
they took the ANSEL system down, but the duct
Yeah.
and the mushroom fan on the roof
yeah,
is still there.
that's part of the building department. The building inspector will review all of that, and there's no odors that can go off-site. We have codes. We have
down with the
codes for that,
refrigeration, so
yes.
we don't have to deal with the scrubbers.
No, you do not. That is,
I'll
the,
look at that.
yeah, that's a building inspector permit review. The county health departments is involved. Yeah, you're covered.
Good. So, I mean,
We need some revised plans, because you do need to see the proper elevation of the front. We can,
Yep. We will submit the elevation, as I was saying, I think Thursday for the town to be
Yep.
able to present it to the architectural review board next week.
mm-hmm.
And I guess.
You make
if we can
copies for this
internal-
board?
Sure, I make copies. We'll submit copies for
And
this.
they,
board.
they've got these really cool roll-up glass doors now that become a canopy.
Going out?
Yeah, so, when the door goes up, it ends like this and becomes a canopy above the people sitting there. So you may want
Right.
to look into those too. Instead of doing a
Oh, I
roll-up
see
that
what you
goes
mean.
all the way
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
The door becomes a canopy for you to use as an awning/canopy for shade and
Right,
stuff like
we'll
that.
take a look.
It's a little more pricey, but they're
Sure.
pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah, the building has like a built-in canopy that kind of regular.
Already covers it.
Yeah, covers all the stores.
Okay.
Right, and the roll-down gates that we were looking at is the one that goes in.
Goes
and-
in.
Yeah.
No, those are great.
And actually, because of the idea of having the counter,
Be very cool.
we are still. I mean, the original idea is to have the counter, and then the roll-down gate is just from here up.
Right.
They're going to have to decide
Um,
whether they want
Now we're thinking maybe we bring it all the way down, and that gives us the possibility of, if the counter is
Flowing out,
movable,
yeah.
then it's just the flow in and out of the
Makes
space.
it easy for weight service too. They don't have to go through the door and
Yeah.
wrestle that way.
Right, right, right.
Well, the issue here is, can we get that material in and schedule them for the public hearing on the 31st and get them done and approved and open?
If the material is the elevations and the notes on the plan that the permit, the sidewalk cafe
We
will
can
be
do
used, we'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, well,
So if you can do that, we'll get it. We'll
So
instruct.
set the public hearing for the
Public hearing for
31st.
the 31st, and we'll set up a resolution, draft a resolution, be ready. So what we'd like to do is get you ready and done.
Sure.
Out of here anyway on the 31st.
although we like
much.
you, we, you know, we.
Thank you very much. I hope I'll be back with other projects. Just to be
You
clear,
saw all
then-
the other victims, one of the ones that stay here for a long time. You don't want to be doing that.
so what is my due date to physically give you the materials?
When you give the materials to the architectural review board, give it to us as well.
Okay. I thought I will submit them by email, but I have to give them physical copies. I'll
Yes.
get the owner to do that. So I
Yeah,
think
physical
by
copies.
Friday. Is Friday okay for them?
Friday is great.
Okay. So I think by Friday we can get the drawings in.
Terrific.
Okay,
One,
great.
one question, air conditioning.
Sure.
You're using the air conditioning that Dunkin' Donuts used?
The original idea is yes, we're gonna use the unit.
Is it going to be adequate?
It is my initial assessment. It is adequate, but we haven't been up on the roof looking at it. We just saw it from the inside, and they understand the specs that I understand it is adequate, the sizing for the space. I have a preliminary mechanical plan. We're basically just replacing the duct that was there. They used to have a straight duct running along the space. We're just replacing it with round duct that is going to be exposed. But the final assessment is going to come when we go up with the mechanical contractor on the site.
Okay, and then if it's too small, you
It's
make
going
it
to be
bigger.
replaced in the same place,
Okay.
roof mounted.
Yeah, it behooves them to have proper HVAC because
Yeah.
no one's going to go in there if it's too hot.
Yeah.
Well, I
Does
just
it matter
want-
how
I
many
just
people
wanted to
occupy
understand.
the
So
space
yeah,
as
this
to how
this
much
is the location of the original.
whatever you need, yeah.
This is
This
the
is gonna be a lot
location
more
of the
people.
original unit, and we are just from there tapping on with new duct work
Okay,
to distribute
I
it.
see. Good, I see it.
So is there a motion to direct staff to prepare a draft resolution for next time around?
So
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll schedule the public. We'll get it advertised. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much.
All right. Great.
Nice of you to drop by.
Yep. Sorry it took so long for you.
Oh, no, but he
Next
moved
time
up
we'll
one
put
in the
him
queue.
first.
Yeah, we'll put you first next time. What's the matter?
No, I agree.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd said something wrong again. 'cause
Oh,
it's-
no, Bob, you were
Consistent up here,
perfect.
so I figured, I just want to,
And
I just want to keep score of what it was, that's all.
You looked to me to correct you.
Yes, you've noticed. I'm looking for lifelines all the time up here. Okay. Yep, good
Good
idea.
evening.
Okay,
That was
we
a
have
record
minutes.
for tonight.
June 5, 2008.
I wasn't there.
Okay. Ooh, can we do it then? I guess we still. can
He
do it.
wasn't there for the next one. He can leave.
What is all over those channels?
I'll just pack up. I won't.
Thanks for that show of solidarity.
It means a lot to us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I've got my June 28.
I don't have any changes on June 5th.
I have not either.
I have a clarifying question. Page 9 of 11.
Mine's not.
Okay.
Lines 15 through 17. Sabrina, did you say that the 200 building would have a playground? 'Cause
Yes.
Okay, so that's not an issue anymore.
We're always going to have a playground. You were unhappy with the location of their playground.
Yes,
And the size of it.
and the
Yeah.
size, and the size therefore. Okay, so we'll cover that. So it would have one. Okay, that's all. Just wanted to make sure you were comfy with those words.
That is the truth.
Well, that's fine. The truth,
Shall prevail.
no, it has a chance of prevailing.
So any other changes?
Not on that one, no.
So is there a motion to adopt June 5, 2018 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have June 20th.
Greg was
I
there.
had a change on page 1, line 50. After it says that it no longer looked vacant, I wanted to add in order to aesthetically improve the gateway, a gateway to the Millwood Hamlet.
Good.
Okay. I had some thoughts and changes actually on, what page is this? Page 3, I think.
Yeah, count them, 1.3, yes.
Yeah. And this is line 26. I think there was tree removal, but I think the issue was there are no regulated tree removals. As I recall, they're removing some and actually removing a couple of those
Oh, yeah.
specimen trees. So it's that we don't have regulated tree removals. We don't have a regulated, they're not seeking a permit, they don't have
They
to
were
seek-
relocating.
They're also
Relocating is the
getting rid
word.
of some too, because they're relocating, and also I think one or two were being eliminated. But it did not trigger a permit, because it was insufficient in quantity.
So we can add regulated.
Yeah,
Okay, add that, because I don't remember. I remember them
No
saying
regulated.
they were gonna move
Regulated
2
tree.
trees.
It doesn't hurt us to say it.
Yes,
Okay.
done, good.
and I would also add as another bullet to make this distinctive, and that is, in addition, there was not a stormwater application either. That was not required. And also, what was very interesting was that all of the activity fall within the clearing and grading limit lines. There was
That's
no
right.
expansion.
That's a very important one.
So we should put that in as another one of those distinguishing bullets.
The clearing and grading, I think, is already in there in the
Yes,
second
it is.
bullet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yes,
the
it
second
is.
bullet.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you could always hammer it.
Okay.
Put it in several times.
Yeah, several times, because
So important.
Number 3,
Well,
4.
we kind of, we actually were pretty clear when we did that.
okay, I have something minor, if you're finished, Jeff.
Well, the other one was that even all the setbacks fall within the conservation setbacks too. There were nothing outside of the conservation subdivision setbacks, which again, we often don't see
Yeah.
in some of these applications. Again, trying to load this as much as possible to make this a very unique, distinguishable
Yeah, it's
application and permit.
It's not we're not loading it, we're just trying to get the total, aspects that make
Yep.
this
No
project
question.
distinct and unique.
Yes, very unique, exactly right, that's it.
Lapel.
Okay, on line 49, I recommended that these findings, I'd like to say the above findings, and then establish coverage of service notice of
It did.
future.
It did.
Okay, and so we had,
Does require.
we have newly established coverage limitations, don't we? They're not established,
Recently established?
well, not until we approve it, right?
No, there's existing coverage
Yeah,
limitations from the original subdivision.
Established should be existing coverage, right? Not established, change it to existing.
Well, but the existing coverage is different from what the planning board established for that lot.
Correct.
I know, but it's not established because it's different. It's existing and not established.
Does current work better than established?
I'm okay with current if my linguistic experts are okay with it.
Modified?
You're fine?
It's not modified, because he didn't modify it. He,
He's getting approval to
no, he's
modify.
talking about the overage that,
So
Mr. Zekin, that the above findings and coverage limitations be listed on the fight to serve as notice to future property owners.
Good.
Applicable?
Just get rid of established and existing and just talk about coverage
Coverage,
limits.
thank you very
That's
much.
good, that works.
Less is
Is that
more.
what you said?
Absolutely.
All right, great.
I'm glad you're younger, you have a better memory, so I thank you for helping me.
My pleasure.
Anyone else? Anything?
As amended.
As amended, is there a motion to adopt the minutes for
So moved.
June 20?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.